show coming your way in about 20 seconds. So thank you very much for joining us. It's going to be a great show. We've got lots of great guests lined up for you, and we appreciate you joining us this morning. So with that in mind, we're going to hit the theme song to get us all going and stuff. I know I'm all worked up. How about you?
The theme song. So we're going to ring your bell?
Yep, live from studio. Pardon me?
We rang your bell.
Live from Studio A, it's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we talk to Kevin Hall with Texas Nostalgia Modified Production, and we'll explain what all that means with Kevin here in just a second. Got a chance to drive the Jeep Grand Cherokee L. It's the big three-row SUV you want to know about. I drove it and give you my impression of it. We'll also have the cruise-in calendar, and later Conrad has This Week in Auto History. Plus, don't forget, we always have stories making automotive news headlines. It's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. It's all straight ahead. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, Mr. Wires, King Conrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much again for joining us today. Mr. Mars and the boys, well, let me put it this way. Mr. Mars and Jeffrey have been busy rewiring the studio for whatever reason. I'm not exactly sure why or how that happens.
And I slept in.
And Conrad just walked in the door like the star that he is.
Mm-hmm.
Like the star that he is. So,
I'm the diva today, not you.
You are.
You're generally the diva.
Well, that hasn't changed, but I'm just sharing the limelight with you this morning.
It's more like Sergeant Diva, not General Diva.
Sergeant.
Colonel Diva.
Well, I was thinking about Queen Diva, but that's all right. So,
is that your rap star name, Queen Diva?
Queen Diva. You like it?
Yes.
Don't let the dog walk over the wires because,
don't let the dog out.
We spent so much time on shoring up all the wires so she wouldn't take us off the air. But
South Shore.
So as Queen Diva, you don't twerk, you twitch.
You're focusing on that. We're trying to focus on the car show this morning.
Gee whiz.
At any rate, joining us right now, live from, guess where? Lufkin, Texas.
His truck.
Well, and his truck, yes. But the truck is located apparently in Lufkin, Texas. His name is Kevin Hall, and he is Texas Nostalgia Modified Production. Good morning, Kev. How are you?
Good morning, sir. How are y'all doing this morning?
Well, we're doing fine. Where are you driving to? You driving to the racetrack?
Yes, sir. We're getting ready for next weekend. We'll be at the Texas Motorplex in Ennis, Texas, at the Funny Car Chaos.
Well, what does Lufkin, Texas, have to do with Ennis, Texas, and the Texas Motorplex?
Well, we're going to go today and make a few shakedown passes and get the cars ready, make sure everything's up to snuff. And we run little small block motors, little 272 cubic inch motor and 5-speed transmissions. So we have to do a lot of our own research development and find some extra secret horsepower to stay competitive with the other guys.
Listen, we've all been trying to figure out secret horsepower, and we don't tell anybody that we know that we have secret horsepower. We don't even tell them that we're looking for it.
It just shows up.
Good. You can share it with us that need it.
So what kind of car do you have, Kev?
It's a 1966 Chevrolet Corvette.
A 66 Corvette that's slightly modified.
Yes, sir.
And how is it modified? Does it have a roll cage in it?
Yes, sir. It has a full cage and what they call a funny car cage. The car itself weighs about, with me in it, 2,300 pounds with a small block motor, and it's got door bars in it and a halo hoop. It's a full cage race car, yes, sir.
Wow. Did you build the car yourself or did you buy it?
Yeah, I bought it. It was already built.
Gotcha. And how long have you had it?
This particular car, about 3 months. The car prior to this one, about 40 some odd years.
Oh my gosh. Well, what was the prior car?
It was a 1965 Corvette.
You moved right up the ladder there, didn't you?
Upgrade.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
I took a leap of faith and moved up a year.
Did you sell that car, the old car?
Oh no, we still have it. we'll probably have it till the end of time.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
We raced that car in the 1960s.
Well, Kevin, I can hear your blinker, but I can't hear you. Now you're all frozen.
He froze up.
There you go. It's probably that fine cell phone stuff that he's got going on in Lufkin, Texas.
Yeah, good old Lufkin.
Yeah.
So what size engine do you run in your 67 Corvette?
66 Corvette.
66.
66
You
Corvette.
weren't listening.
He's still sleeping.
It's a 272 cubic inch motor. It's a deep stroke motor.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah. So what block did it start out as?
283.
283.
Any other questions?
No, we'll have
Yeah,
as I
okay.
think of them, we'll ask a few of them.
And now are you running the 8th mile or are you running the full quarter?
No, sir. Nowadays they've changed everything, just about the 8th mile. So all of our races are 8th mile races.
So 8th mile races in a small block Chevrolet. I can only imagine what the rear gear is in that.
650.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
How tall a tire do you run?
I run a 3316.
Okay.
Oh my God!
So what's your RPM going through the lights?
10,500.
Wow.
10,500. That
Sounds
used
like a real loud sewing machine.
that used to blow up DZ motors back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 10,500.
And just imagine in the 8th of a mile, 660 feet, I'm shifting 5 times at 660 feet, like my low gear, because all these, are rules that you got to leave off the clutch and you got to manually shift them. I'll leave the starting line. We all leave between 9,500 and 10,000 RPM. My first gear low is a 3.29.
And you're in it for like a split second, and then it's on to second gear.
Yeah, right, then third, then fourth, and then right at the 8th mile, you going into 5th. And a lot of these guys nowadays, they run a 4-speed instead of a 5-speed because they switched to the 8th mile, and their car works better off of 4-speed. Most of them run Jericho's. Some of us run Doug Nash's. We even got some guys that run Lenco transmissions where with a Lenco, you only use the clutch off the starting line and then you just pull the gear straight back. You never use the clutch again.
Yeah. Well, like Pro Stock.
Yeah. And do you use a typical H-gate shifter, or are you using the inline shifter?
Mine's a inline Vertigate. It's called a Vertigate shifter.
All right. Now, I'm going to shift gears, so to speak.
Literally.
Oh, gosh.
Here. And I want you to – we had a brief conversation before we went on the air with Kevin. And you race with a bunch of other nostalgia-style cars on I don't even – it's a series, and that you join the series with other groups like you have formed.
Yes, sir.
Maybe
So
can you
Texas-
explain that to everybody?
Okay. There's a series that we follow. It's called Texas Drag Racing Association, and they have five or six different classes under their umbrella. And the one of them is called Nostalgia Superstock. And Nostalgia Superstock, we follow their scheduling and the tracks that they go to. We all go and race at the same track, even though they're a different division and a different type of car than we are. See, their rules in Nostalgia Superstock, you have to have a big block, and most of them are big blocks with automatics. Our rules are you got to have a small block and a standard shift transmission.
Okay, and one of the flyers that I absconded with TDRA, Texas Drag Racing Association, under that umbrella, there's the Texas Nostalgia Superstock, muscle car, and then there's NMC. And that what is that? Nostalgia muscle car?
Yes, sir. That is.
Okay.
The super stock and the muscle cars, they run together.
Okay.
Most of those cars are Chrysler and Dodge product, and there's a few, like the last race, the guy that won, he had a Chevelle. But prior to that, Tony Smith, he'd won the championship 2 years in a row, and he has a Chrysler product.
Interesting. And you don't race, generally speaking, every weekend. It's like every, 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We race every 2 to 3 week. We don't race every weekend. Some of our guys, they do race in other organizations. Nostalgia Drag Racing League, they're out of the Midwest, and they're a spinoff. They're a type of our car, and sometimes they go up there and they race with them, and sometimes they race other tracks and other classes and stuff.
Kevin, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, you're looking at your ceiling there.
It looks like I'm looking at. There you
There
go.
you
I
go.
thought, am I looking at your roof?
Looking at your
I
rear
was
view
backing
mirror.
up. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Are we keeping you from driving?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, we just are you do you have a trailer?
I'm backing up a 48-foot trailer. Yeah.
Oh my!
What are those blue lights in the background?
Well, talking to us.
Now, well, those blue lights in the background. The police is what that
Popo.
is.
Yeah.
Okay, so
The Popo.
yeah. So you've got an event coming up next weekend that apparently there's part of the schedule is Funny Car Chaos at the Texas
Yes, sir.
Motorplex.
Yes, sir, Mr. Don. And this race, if anybody out there in the radio world, if you've never seen the Funny Car Chaos, what it is old school funny cars. There's 53 funny cars. There's going to be 53 funny cars, 23 fuel altereds, and it's just all classes there is all old school drag racing.
Wow.
I love it.
And like in our classes, sir, there's no electronics. I know that you grew up in NHRA, and electronics have taken over drag racing a few years back, and a lot of the cars you just point and click, and they do everything else for you. They shift for you, they set the timing for you. And these cars, everything's old school. We set our own timing, and we shift our own cars, and there's no electronics. And the funny cars, the old school floppers, back in the 60s and 70s, they used to have meets, and they would pull 50, 60 funny cars. And at this race at the Texas Motorplex, Funny Car Chaos, it's all nostalgia, everything, and old school funny cars. And they have to qualify as well as we do. We run off a qualified ladder.
Kevin, would I be able to recognize any of these old school funny cars?
Yes, sir. They're replicas of the guys that used to run, like Raymond Beadle from the Blue Max. It's now driven by Ronnie Young, but it's the same car. These are replicas of the cars from the 60s.
I want to go.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at the Texas Motorplex in Ennis, Texas, is where it's all going down. And you'll love it if you love old school. Even the fuel alters, the fuel alters run with them, and they put on a heck of a show. And those funny cars and stuff, and even in the TDRA, those the fun engine dragsters, they have slingshot dragsters and stuff that run, and they do the long smoky burnouts, almost an eighth of a mile. And those guys are traveling the eighth of a mile at over 250 miles an hour in 3 seconds.
Wow.
That's heavy duty.
Oh yeah.
So I'm looking at the schedule, and coming up April 1st, you're going to be in Ferris, Texas for the Spring Nationals.
Yes, sir. That's in XRP.
XRP is what? The drag strip?
We lost audio.
We lost your audio. No, we can't hear you. I don't. Now you're coming. It's that big trailer
That's what it is. Yeah,
that's
it's interfering.
interfering with the transmission.
Mm-hmm.
And
Or the transmission, not the
there
transmission.
you
They're
go.
running.
Now we can hear you again.
Okay. Yes, sir. Next weekend, on April the 1st, it's in Ferris, Texas. And Ferris, Texas is about 20 minutes from the Texas Motorplex. It's also south of Dallas.
Yeah.
In a little farming community in between Waxahachie and Dallas.
So somebody laid down some asphalt between the rows of corn and the radishes.
Yeah, on April 1st, you go out there and there's nobody there. You go, April Fool.
That's right.
Yeah, well, better than that. They laid down concrete because most of the tracks nowadays aren't asphalt anymore. They're all concrete. And so they laid down concrete in between some corn rows. It's a very, very good track. And they have a lot of good racing there.
So most of this is nostalgia, old school, except for the track surface.
Right. Yes, sir.
But it's also a way to go see quality drag racing at a local track as opposed to having to go to Ennis or Baytown or any of the big NHRA tracks.
Yeah. Yes, sir. That's very correct because like next week, at the Motorplex, that's a national event, within itself, just on a different level where there won't be, there's only funny cars and fuel alters and front engine stuff because it's all nostalgia.
Yeah, I grew up a fan of Jungle Jim Lieberman and Wild Willie Borscht.
Yes.
And
Borscht
Jungle
is
Pam
a
and
the fuel altered guy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, those fuel alters will be there. There's a bunch of them. The fuel alters are really making a big comeback in the Texas area.
Yeah.
And those guys are flying. Like I say, so they're running, low fours, high 390s at over 250 miles an hour in the 8.
Yeah, the only person crazier than a fuel altered driver is a nitro bike driver.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, those guys
wear their flak jackets because otherwise, when the motor explodes, it doesn't
up.
kill them.
those guys on those nitro Harleys are really crazy.
Are there any nitro cars?
Yes, sir. The funny cars are not. Some run nitro, some run alcohol, but the fuel alters and the funny cars, there'll be some there that are on nitro. Most of them are on nitro.
Trying to keep all this straight is mind-boggling. Mm-hmm. You've got all these different kinds of styles of cars running all sorts of, different engine displacements, and then you got them running on different fuel, and then you got them running in different classes.
As a separate sanction, yeah.
It's nuts. Well, this sounds like tons of fun, and we'll hope to join you soon. And I hope that you'll stay in touch with us and let us know how you and your car are doing.
Okay, yeah, we were going to call in next week from the Motorplex and just give you guys a little update and let you guys know what's going on. And after your talk show, if you guys can head to Ennis, it'll be a heck of a show. Next Friday night, they're going to qualify under the lights, and the nitro and the fumes and the flames. It's really a good show.
Yeah, well, that's what's wrong with me. All those fumes. Necessarily the flames. Well, flames too. It depends on what mood I'm in. But it's more along the lines of the fumes.
Yeah, Don's flaming many times.
Yeah,
usually
many
on
times.
Saturday nights out at the club.
Kevin, it's great to talk to you. Thank you so much. We hope to talk to you next weekend. Texas Nostalgia Modified Production. And the
sounds like fun.
Yeah, and it's going to be tons of fun.
We'll be there. We'll be, like I said, we'll be leaving about 9,000 RPM of putting them on the bumpers and standing them straight up in the air. And we're looking for a good time, and hopefully you guys can join us soon, and we'll put on a show for you. We do dry hops and burnouts, about halfway down the track, and then before we stage, we dry hop again. Just everything nostalgia, we do it.
Kevin, thanks again. We look forward to talking to you next weekend. All right.
That's the thing I really liked about when I started talking to him. It's pretty simple, old school. All manual transmissions, small blocks. I mean,
it's got your name written all over it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And leaving
I can
on
understand
the clutch, as opposed to the button.
I think what you need to do is you need to get that maroon van that you've got and get it out there. There you go. Mm-hmm.
Mid-engine it?
No.
No. Put an Oldsmobile 455 and a Tornado front end in the back of it.
Block.
Time now for this hour's Cruise In calendar. Conrad has that in his vast file of knowledge.
My vast file of knowledge. So,
But this is not a 4-minute thing.
No,
you got 60 seconds
exactly.
to do this.
You gotta keep it
So
moving.
pick and
Don't be
choose.
cutting into
This
my
one's
time.
for you, Don. It's the Just Trippin' Car Show at Southern Star Brewery in Conroe, Texas, and that's this afternoon on the starts at 11 a.m. Also, the Coffee and Cars Charlie Cookie Factory in Beaumont, out there near Mars's stomping grounds. The Chambers Town Center Truck Show off of Interstate 10 in Baytown, and that starts at 9 a.m. The New Caney Custom Spring Open House off of Gene Campbell Road in New Caney. Classic Car Cruisin' starts at 10 a.m. And also the Pins and Needles Tattoo Meet. So, Don, you can go get some ink. Get 3 or 4 names put on your arm.
Mom.
I figured he'd
3
begin.
ex-wives.
Yeah, you just put a big X.
He's
to
such a card.
and the current flame.
Thank you. God.
The benefit for Drew Garcia Car Show at the Waco Missions in Waco, Texas, is today at noon, and then finally Cars and Caffeine at the Cora Coffee Shop in New Braunfels.
I can only imagine what this would have been like had he rehearsed the cruise in.
So how was Coffee and Chrome last week? Did you go?
It was absolutely phenomenal.
Good turnout.
Great turnout. It continues to grow by leaps and bounds. And if you're interested in that sort of thing, I would encourage everybody to bring their car on a Sunday, the first Sunday of the month, to the Avalon Diner over in the Fountains from 9 to noon. And it's a great cruise-in car show.
Yeah,
and breakfast.
And then we have upcoming Tailpipes and Tacos on the 15th of April
Right.
at Lupi Tortillas off the Grand Parkway.
Yep, it's going to be a great show. Okay, time now for this hour's car review. I had a chance to drive the 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee L. Now, it comes in these trim levels: the Laredo, Altitude, Limited, Overland, Summit, and Summit Reserve. I had the Summit Reserve 4x4. This is called a standard SUV, 3 rows of seating. Seats up to 7 folks in there, including the driver. This L model Jeep Grand Cherokee is 1 foot longer than the standard Grand Cherokee to accommodate the third row, which actually has some leg room back there. So you can actually, I don't know about a full-size adult, but maybe, your wife could go back there, which would be perfect for long trips. Latest Cherokee styling with short 7-slot grill. Sophisticated, conservative, straight lines. You'll know that it's a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Just the right touch of chrome on this particular model. What I liked about it was the overall styling. What could use improvement? Nothing. This is one sharp-looking SUV, and I think that you'll agree with me if you check it out. Interior highlights. Overall, high Zoot quality. I wrote that there.
High Zoot.
Mm-hmm. High-quality, perforated, comfortable leather seating surfaces. Macintosh sound system is one of the best in the business. The transmission shifter, the ride height, and the 4-wheel drive controls are conveniently located on the center console. What I liked about it, the real wood trim in this is gorgeous.
And the stitching on the seats and the door pads is stunningly beautiful.
Yeah.
They really did a nice job with
They
that.
really did. What could use improvement? I just wrote here, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Now, a V8 is available at certain trim levels. I had the 3.6-liter V6 that's been around for decades.
Chrysler.
293 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque, 8-speed automatic transmission. Tow rating, 6,200 pounds. That's a lot.
That's a lot for a V6.
V6. Payload is 1,210 pounds. Miles per gallon. City 18, highway 25 for a combined 21 miles per gallon. I got 18.9 miles per gallon over 444.9 miles.
That's pretty good for that size vehicle.
It's big.
Yeah.
What I liked about it, the okay gas mileage. What could use improvement? Sometimes the transmission kind of over or underreacts to input from the gas pedal. There's a little disconnect,
busyness.
but you understand that I'm a 2-foot driver, even with an automatic
Which
transmission.
confuses them.
Yes, it does, because I'm too fast.
Right.
And so, at
Well,
any
it
rate.
sees the brake input and the gas input.
Well, I don't ride the brake, but as soon as I let off the brake, I got my foot in the accelerator, and sometimes it just doesn't get that. But whatever. Ride and handling, what I liked about it, that air suspension is the bomb. Oh, gosh, it rides so good. What could use improvement? Nothing on that, that's for sure. Base trim price on this is $65,710. No, it's not cheap. Price is tested. Now, this was the all to the wall
Everything.
$76,820. Now, you can get in one of these for $41,000. Nah.
Well,
don't do
you
that.
typically don't drive strippers.
No, I don't.
You usually drive the high Zoot model.
Yeah. So, as far as competitors, well, there's lots. Tahoe, the Chevy Tahoe, $56,095 where it starts. The Kia Telluride is $35,890, and the VW Atlas is $34,600. And again, the base model on this is $41,000. Really liked it. Really is a nice vehicle. It's
It's good looking.
It is the Jeep Grand Cherokee L Summit Reserve 4x4. Boy,
As with all are trail rated.
oh yes, of course. It is really nice.
Of course.
Of course it is. Of course. It's a horse. Of course. All right.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
want-
Ed.
You're welcome. Want to remind you that the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts, well, they're at your fingertips, too, on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets around. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Tailpipes and Tacos, Houston's premier car cruise-in returns Saturday, April 15th to the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. Bring your Hot Rod Classic Resto-Mod or any other vehicle you'd like to show and compete for one of 3 highly coveted Chili Pepper trophies. This April 15th kickoff event is one you'll want to put on your calendar because 100% of the money you donate for the free tacos will be given to God's Garage. You heard right. Free tacos. Whatever you decide to give, all of it will be given to God's Garage and matched by Lupi Tortilla. God's Garage gifts vehicles to single mothers, widows, and wives of deployed military in the greater Houston area. In fact, the Garage will gift a vehicle to a mom in need at this special event. Be sure to attend the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Saturday, April 15th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Free breakfast tacos for any donation to God's Garage. It'll make your heart and your belly feel good. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In-Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. It is the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Divya Sangam joins us to talk about why Americans are holding back on EV adoption. You'd be surprised. Conrad has This Week in Auto History, and we'll get you caught up on the stories making car news this week. Howdy, along with Mike out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong in his matching green shirt with Mr. Mars. They called each other and said, "What am I going to wear?" "Oh, if you'll wear the
Apparently
green."
you didn't
Well, I get
email.
to pinch Jeff 'cause it's close enough to St. Patrick's Day. You're supposed
It's
to wear
not
green.
close enough
No,
to St.
just-
Patrick's
Yeah, we're only
Day.
a couple of 3
I
days
don't
away.
celebrate
But
that.
that you don't? No. Jeff.
It was a terrible leprechaun accident
Zeke
back in the
with a
70s.
D.
There was a leprechaun accident in the 70s, and it was just awful.
At any rate, along
but
with
keep it short.
along Conrad DeLong, and we need more Jeff Zeke, and I'm Don
I'm
Armstrong.
not sure about that today.
What is it? Something in confused, dazed and confused.
Dazed
That's
and
what we
confused.
are. Always.
You're
every
like an
se-
old Led Zeppelin song.
I am,
Just
or I just old. I think would probably
Oh, yeah.
be appropriate. All right. Joining us now is Divya Sangam. Hi, Divya. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Well, we're as sick as ever, but thank you for joining us anyway.
I think I'm matching with Conrad today. He's wearing orange, and so am I.
Yeah, well, that would be Jeff,
That'd be
but
me.
that's okay. Yes,
Sorry, my bad, Jeff.
That's okay.
So, Divya, are you with Lending Tree?
Yes, I am. I'm part of Value Penguin, which is Lending Tree's insurance subsidiary.
Gotcha.
And we do research. Yeah.
Yeah, because we've talked to you before, and we thought,
Yes.
man, there's some more good information she's got. We want to let all of our viewers and our listeners in on it. EV adoption in the U.S. You know, everybody says, "Oh, we're selling every EV that we've got." Well, maybe so for those first-time buyers, but not so much for certain groups that are going, I'm not too sure. Well, let's face it, EV is not right for everybody. Because, I mean, if you drive 500 miles a day, what are you going to do? Stop 3 or 4 times to charge it throughout the day? I don't think so. Because it takes time to charge it. So let's get into this. Cost is the biggest barrier to EV ownership, I understand.
Yes. And this does not surprise us any bit because EVs are more expensive to buy. And, you know, even with tax breaks, it's not immediately obvious how much you can save. So when you're making a decision about car purchase, you're probably going to look at the sticker price before you decide, hey, you know, this really is for me or it isn't for me. And cost is a big barrier, especially if you're middle class in America and you make less than $50,000 a year, then EVs are probably not something you want to buy right now.
Interesting. Do Americans know about EVs?
The thing is, from our survey, it was very clear that Americans don't. You know, we asked a question, so how much do you know about EVs? And most people said absolutely nothing or very little. And I think a lot of this comes down to it's brand new technology. You know, we're familiar with gas cars. We've been driving it for almost 100 years, but EVs are very new to America. And I'm not surprised people don't know about it. And what they do know about it is probably stuff they've got off the news or from talking to people. It's very piecemeal. And, you know, naturally, nobody has the time to sit down and do hours and hours of research on an EV before buying, but it is a huge purchase decision. You're not going to drop tens of thousands of dollars on something you don't really know much about.
And then how does the self-driving component of most EVs relate to the insurance side of it as well?
So I think it's really interesting you brought up the self-driving component because that was a huge part of the questions we asked. You know, when we think about EVs, we associate them with cars that drive themselves. And we've seen those videos of people asleep behind the wheel while the car is driving itself on a highway. Insurance companies definitely don't view self-driving cars as the safest. In fact, if you remember from the last time I was on the show, I was talking about insurance premiums going up and how EVs are 28% more expensive to insure. We believe that number is even higher if a car comes with fully self-driving capabilities. So that's the one part of it. And of course, the other part is self-driving. Even when it comes to self-driving capabilities, the people we spoke to for the survey, it heartened me to find out that they really cared about other drivers on the road. They were not supportive of drivers who let the car drive themselves, and they believe that if someone like that gets into an accident, the driver should be held responsible, not the car, even if the car was driving itself.
Right. Yeah, I would agree.
And so even with all of this technology, the people we spoke to, they're echoing the views of the insurance companies. There has to be driver accountability. You can't just let the car drive itself and then be like, oh, the car crashed. What were you doing behind the wheel? You still need to be behind the wheel. You need to be aware of your surroundings and not take risks just because you think the car is safe and it's driving itself.
So let's say there is a crash, in the incident investigation, there would be markers in the car saying that it was in self-driving mode. I know the kind of data that's collected on a GM vehicle from OnStar. It knows, was the seatbelt buckle, what the vehicle speed was. It knows whether or not the brakes were being applied. All of those things is data that's collected when an incident occurs. Would that be something the insurance company is going to try and look into in an accident involving an EV?
I mean, obviously, if they can get access to that data, that's something they would definitely want to look into. But at the moment, that a lot of this data is being held by the car manufacturers.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
It's just considered proprietary.
So, whether that information will be shared with authorities or insurance companies, it really depends on the other aspect of this, right? Self-driving is still highly unregulated. There are no laws around it. And yes, they are trying to push for regulation. I mean, did you guys see that huge Tesla recall where they called back like 300,000+ cars to fix a bug in the self-driving software? So that seems to be a good first step towards regulating. But I feel until there are hard regulations, I am with most Americans. I'm not 100% comfortable with self-driving vehicles. I wouldn't want to buy one. And I will probably wait till it looks like it's more regulated and it feels safer for me to be behind the wheel of a self-driving car.
Well, yeah, and self-driving isn't exclusively a component of an EV. There are self-driving systems on internal combustion engine vehicles as well. So it kind of feeds both sides of the automotive world. So
I agree. And, when we talk about self-driving, naturally, our first thought jumps to cars that completely drive themselves. Mm-hmm. But the technology, as you rightly pointed out, has also been built into gas cars to enhance safety. So your blind spot monitor, your braking systems, your lane departure assist systems, those are self-driving features and they enhance the safety of the car. But ultimately, with those features, you're still required to be alert and in control of the car. You can't let the car control itself.
And then the biggest question is, with Ford having gone out to get a patent for their repo program, so if the car is driving back to the repo lot and there's nobody in it, who's responsible?
Yeah, well, there is that too. The car might drive itself back, but if there's no human being to receive it or sign for it, these are these big questions that are being raised, and it's being raised everywhere. How much can we rely on technology to do the jobs of human beings?
Yeah, it's a whole new world, according to a Disney movie.
It is. And the other aspect of EV ownership is cost, right? Like they're being marketed as cheaper than gas cars because, last year gas prices went up. But the reality is you still have to pay for electricity when you charge them and you're charging them out of your home. Electricity costs also vary by region and state the same way gas prices do. They vary at different times of the year. And I think in Texas, especially, you guys are familiar with this. When it gets cold, the price of electricity goes up. And that means it will cost a lot more to charge your car than you may have anticipated. And if you're going to rely on public charging terminals, it's more expensive to charge your car. So in terms of fueling your car, it may not be as cheap as you think it is, and you may not be saving as much as you might think you might save by switching to an EV.
Divya, what are the criteria that you use when you do these surveys?
So we do a random sampling of Americans of all ages. We spoke to about 2,000 people, and they are equally distributed across the states. We also spoke to members of Gen Z, millennials. We spoke to Gen X and Boomer Americans.
And that, let's pause there for just a minute, because I found that this was interesting. More baby boomers at the pump than any other generation. 87% are driving gas-powered vehicles, and followed by 84% of Gen Xers. That surprised me.
For me, it wasn't. I mean, I was surprised that there was such a big population of boomers and Gen Xers who didn't have EVs. But then I thought about it, and I felt, well, I'm not that surprised. When you're a boomer or a Gen X, you're set in your ways. You know what you like. You have bought the cars. You've driven them. You may be loyal to a particular brand, and you may not be willing to put your safety at risk by buying an EV, especially when you've also mentioned you're not sure what EVs are and how they work, which is something else we found in our survey. Gen X and boomers were more likely to say they didn't know anything about EVs.
Now that's surprising. The other thing is that I understand that really the real interest in EVs are with really the newest drivers out there.
Yeah, it's Gen Z. They were most likely to say they wanted to get an EV or are driving an EV. But so that number, while it is interesting, we had to also keep in mind that Gen Z were most likely to say they didn't have a car on them, like they didn't have a personal vehicle. So for Gen Z, we read that finding as they are aspirational EV owners. They don't have a car,
but
so
they can't afford one.
Yeah. They want their first car purchase to be an EV.
Well, I heard something in the news just yesterday, or day before, that there are fewer and fewer actual first-time car buyer eligible as far as driver's license and have the means to buy a car, whether it's used or not. But no, they prefer not to buy a car. I don't know whether they're living at home. My suspicion is probably they're living at home and they don't need a car. Because either if they need to go somewhere, mom and dad are taking them, or their friends are coming to get them. Somebody that has a car.
Uber.
Or they Uber.
Yeah.
Do you find that as well?
Yeah, and this is something we found in other studies and surveys as well. Younger Americans, they're getting their licenses later. They're not getting their driver's license at 16 anymore. Most people are waiting till their 20s before they study how to drive and get a license. Part of it is they want to save on the insurance costs because, hey, if you wait till you're 21, you're probably going to save $33,000 in insurance. So that's one part of it. And also, Gen Z Americans tend to live in big cities. And if you're living in a big city, you don't really need a car. It's actually more expensive to own a car in a big city. You can get around by walking or taking public transit or getting an Uber or just, riding in friends' cars or doing short-term car rentals.
That's interesting. Short-term car rentals. Well, why not? Hey, man, let's go down to the beach. Well, I don't have a car. Okay, well, let's go rent one.
Well, Austin lives in San Francisco, and for the first 5 years he lived there, he didn't own a vehicle, did a lot of what Divya was talking about.
But they got a different way of public transportation
there. They have
there.
a very effective public transportation.
You can always steal one.
But the other thing he did was if he was going somewhere and he needed a vehicle, they have and I can't remember the name of the program, but it's like Airbnb for cars.
A share ride kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you would rent this car through this app. They would tell you where it is, and the owner of the car would unlock the vehicle via their app, and the keys would be inside it. He'd go drive it for however long you needed to drive it and return it and pay the difference. So that short-term rental could be, a day, could be a week or so. and he used that quite often if he was going any distances.
So with all the manufacturers, Dave, that are out there, they're all pushing their EV thing, and they're spending billions upon billions of dollars in these brand new EV factories. And they are really kind of rolling the dice with this, in my mind, because they're not really too sure how sales are ultimately going to go.
I mean, if you look at the short-term sales, like we found EV sales increased 69%. So even if that moves the needle of total EV car ownership from 4% to 5%, I mean, it's still a big deal. So they're counting on the fact that, people consider EVs as aspirational purchases. I mean, have you seen some of these EVs? I love the Ford F-150 electric. That's a beautiful vehicle. And even if I'm not 100% sold on EVs, I know if I got a chance to drive one, I probably would. And Teslas are also considered aspirational vehicles. I mean, we did a survey last year and we asked college students, what cars do you dream of driving? And most of them said Tesla. So what I think car manufacturers are counting on is not that people may buy them immediately, but they're probably going to consider EVs for their next car purchase, like 5 to 10 years down the road.
Do you work out of the home or do you work at an office?
I currently work out of a home. So
you don't.
I don't really
Yeah,
need a car.
I'm just going to say you really don't need a car except maybe to go get groceries or something. And,
I mean,
but
I got my husband's car and he gets the groceries for me. So
there you go. So that works for you. And I think that, the pandemic brought about a whole different driving dynamic, if you want to call it that.
It did.
And I know that my daughter just sold her car. She doesn't need a two-door sports coupe.
The Challenger, huh? Mm-hmm.
She sold the Challenger, got $18,000 for it, which really amazed me because that was pretty good money. The car was 8 years old, but it only had 51,000 miles on it.
It's in its prime, yeah.
Yeah, and so she got good money for the car at CarMax, of all places. And I would imagine that there are more people in her age group. She's 40, and I would imagine that there are more people in her age group that are doing that very same thing, that if they need to go somewhere, borrow the husband's car. It's really...
I mean, I agree and disagree. I am fully remote. I was hired that way. But, if you're someone who used to work in an office and you're remote for COVID, chances are you're probably asked to go back into the office again. So for those people, they probably need a car. And, they may not be wanting to drop $50,000 in an EV, but they'll probably need some kind of vehicle to get them around.
I drove an EV a couple of weeks ago that was $40,000, and I was quite pleasantly surprised. The Chevy Bolt. I mean, it is a car, I think, for the masses. It looks good, and
EVs tend to be a little more stylish than the ICE counterparts.
I agree. Yeah, they do. And at one time when they first came out, that horrible-looking thing from General Motors is like, oof. Even if it was electric,
EV1.
Yeah, I'm not driving that ugly thing. But I think that they've come to realize that they need to style the cars in such a way that they are attractive enough to buy.
Well, I think Tesla's proven that.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, so what do you foresee happening in the near future?
In the near future, I think if EV sales have to take up, there needs to be a massive education campaign, because what I saw from our results of the survey is there was a correlation between people who said they didn't know enough about EVs and they didn't trust EVs. So there needs to be more education around how EVs work, what kind of range they offer. We were talking about 100-mile range. Those are first-generation EVs, but now you're hearing about ultra-long range EVs that can go up to 500 miles in a single charge. And on average, they're going 200 plus miles, which should be more than enough for a day's commute without needing to charge it 5 times along the way.
Yeah.
So you have that. People need to know more about the technology. They need to see regulation come into place around how EVs are working, and all the self-driving, fully self-driving technologies that are being built into these EVs. And there also needs to be an update in infrastructure. So one of the reasons why people said they're, not willing to get an EVs, they're just not enough access to charging stations.
Yeah.
And, I did some digging and I found that the United States has maybe 50,000 charging stations for public access. That's insufficient. And yes, President Biden actually did mention he wants to build up to 500,000 charging station in his State of the Union, but that needs to happen soon because they need to be as ubiquitous as gas stations before people will feel 100% comfortable with getting an EV. Like, you don't want to be stuck in a highway somewhere, run out of juice on your EV, and then you can't put gas in it.
Right.
So I saw a video of this guy. I think he was driving somewhere in Wyoming, and the car ran out of juice, so they pulled out a gas-powered generator to charge up their EV. Yes. And I was laughing.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
I could see AAA pulling up to somebody with some big old diesel generator towed behind it,
or a team of horses.
Divya, where can we get our listeners to go to get all this information?
So all of it's on valuepenguin.com, or you can just Google Value Penguin Electric Car Survey, and you'll probably see that as a first or second result. And you can go read all of our findings.
Divya, we love talking to you, and we really appreciate you spending the time with us. And hey, next survey, be sure and put us number one on your list to give us a call, and we'll get you on the air.
Yeah, you make us smarter, and that's easy to do.
I love that.
Okay, Divya Singham, thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You bet.
Great information.
I know. Love that. All right. We'd love to hear from you. Just shoot us an email. The address here is info@inwheeltime.com. Time now for Conrad's This Week in Auto History.
Antoine de la Motte Le Sieur de Cadillac, the namesake for Cadillac cars, was born in Gascony, France this week in 1658. That's the earliest date I've had on history.
1658.
And
Jeff, you know, like old school.
I know. Well, the segment's over. Once you say Cadillac, that's it. We're done.
Cadillac was a French explorer responsible for mapping the Great Lakes region of North America for the French crown, and was kind of one of the founders of the city of Detroit as well. Mm-hmm. In 1902, American Automobile Association was organized on this day, and the AAA is still a pretty standard of the industry right now, and they are nationwide. And I've used AAA myself. I have a AAA card, and we're going to talk about it when we do Conrad's Corner later.
I used to take my AAA cars to the drag strip and have the Force Robert Height sign my expired cards.
Okay. In 1916, the manufacturing firm of Karl Rapp and Gustav Otto merged to form Bayerisch Flugwerk AG, or the Bavarian Auto Works. Mm-hmm. The company would later become known as Bayerisch Motorwerk, or BMW, as the original name suggests.
But I thought that meant break my wallet.
Break my wallet. Bring more money. Bring my wallet. BMW was their original vehicle. Their original motorcycle was the R12, and it was back in the day. It was the first motorcycle with a hydraulic front fork, so the front fork would move up and down, which is quite innovative for the time, as well as the logo of BMW.
Was it a handshake?
No, the logo of BMW, that little blue and white cross in the middle, was supposed to represent a propeller spinning, because they were building aircraft engines.
Well, it represents land, sea, and air.
No, that's Mercedes.
Oh, that's right. It's Mercedes, right.
In 1929, a fire destroyed the Los Angeles Automobile Show, and I'm not real sure. I don't think it was started by an EV.
Funny.
In 1936, Daytona Beach, Florida, staged its first race strictly for stock cars on a combination of beach and public.
Oh, my God, you've got these all out of order, Conrad.
No.
Yeah.
Or Jeff, or who is it? Mars.
And then in 1969...
I'm at the end of the table, so just keep working your way down.
The 1969 Pontiac first introduced the Trans Am. The Trans Am, they actually paid a fee to SCCA Trans Am for each Trans Am that was sold. They paid a couple of dollars just to use the name Trans Am, and did through the life of Trans Am. Now, this is my favorite of all Trans Ams, is the 69. they made 9 convertibles of the time, and they actually know where all 9 of them are today. Pontiac Trans Am was designed by John DeLorean, who designed many of Pontiac's well-known cars, GTO, Grand Prix, and Trans Am, when he was at Pontiac, and then eventually went on to Chevrolet and the Vega fame. So he had some winners, and then he had some not-so winners. That's this week in auto history.
Wow, that was the longest auto history I think we've ever.
No, it
plowed
wasn't.
through.
I've had longer ones.
Yeah, really?
I got to go to dinner.
Yeah, exactly. I got a couple of recalls to tell you about. Nissan Rogue, 2014 through 2022. Ignition key may collapse and shut off the vehicle. Not good. Blower motor wiring may overheat and cause a fire on the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, 19 to 20 model years. Front side airbags may deploy improperly on the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter for the 22 model year. I don't think I'd buy one of those. Rivian R1S and R1T being recalled. Passenger airbag may deploy improperly.
I did a report on that last week.
Dodge Durango 21 through 23. The rear spoiler may detach while driving.
Well, that's okay for the person that owns the car. The guy driving behind him can't be too happy.
Jeep Gladiator and the Wrangler for 2018 through 2023. The clutch pressure plate may overheat. Hey, Martha, smell something burning?
Yeah, that's the pot roast under the hood.
Unlocked door may open during a crash in BMW's model 330e, 330i, 430i, i4, M3, M3 4DI. And the list goes on and on.
Especially if you get hit in the door.
Might want to check on that. Ford Ranger, 2004 through 2006. Replacement airbag inflator is incorrectly installed. Second row seat frame may be improperly secured in the Tesla Model Y for 22 through 20. And now, breaking news.
Dun, dun, dun.
Toyota Motor Company recalling 144,000 Tundra full-size pickups in North America because the tonneau covers may detach from the vehicle while it's driving. Again,
watch out behind.
Yeah, watch out behind you. So they're going to say, take the tonneau cover off and wait for word from us on what to do next.
Well, Jason's got a new Tundra, but he doesn't have the tonneau.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And don't get the tonneau then. All right. Well, that's it for this hour of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Hour number 2 starts after a quick break.
Tailpipes and Tacos, Houston's premier car cruise in returns Saturday, April 15th to the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. Bring your Hot Rod, Classic, Restomod, or any other vehicle you'd like to show and compete for one of 3 highly coveted Chili Pepper trophies. This April 15th kickoff event is one you'll want to put on your calendar because 100% of the money you donate for the free tacos will be given to God's Garage. You heard right. Free tacos. Whatever you decide to give, all of it will be given to God's Garage and matched by Lupi Tortilla. God's Garage gifts vehicles to single mothers, widows, and wives of deployed military in the greater Houston area. In fact, the garage will gift a vehicle to a mom in need at this special event. Be sure to attend the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Saturday, April 15th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Free breakfast tacos for any donation to God's Garage. It'll make your heart and your belly feel good. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.
It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we hope to get a hold of Richard Rawlings' Gas Monkey Garage and talk about the Challenger jailbreak giveaway. Jeff has 4 insane engine swaps.
Oh, yeah.
Later, Conrad has the Car Clinic, and we'll also have the stories making automotive news headlines this week. It's all straight ahead on this edition of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Thanks so much for joining us, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks again for joining us. It's a hot day here in Houston, Texas. I'm going to try to get out and cut the grass after the show's over with today.
That's always good. Probably do that myself.
Yeah. The grass is growing. My cousin.
You afraid you're going to lose Susie out there in it?
My cousin Steve and his wife, they've been trying to stay unburied out of the snow that they've been getting this week. They got a foot or something up there in
it's been
Janesville.
bad.
Yeah. As we await the arrival of Richard Rawlings, from what I understand, he was calling in last week while we were doing our remote, but he had the wrong date apparently. So at any rate, we'll see if he shows up. Hemmings Marketplace sold cars roundup. I get this on Mondays.
You like doing this one.
I do. And here's a car that if you ever run across one, run the other way, away from it.
Yeah, run across it.
1961 Chevrolet Corvair wagon thing.
We see a lot of those at Autorama. We see a lot of them at Autorama.
Yeah.
I like them.
Do you?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
But
They got
61 was kind of the ugly year.
$9,200 for this thing.
That's a bargain.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you this, and then you can start seeking one out, because right next to it was the 57 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz.
Another gem.
Convertible, $120,900. There you go.
believe
Take that home.
Biarritz.
You can do your research. There you go.
I love it.
But good luck parking that Cadillac in the garage.
Here's what I would have rather had. Okay. The sold price was $2,400. Don't laugh. It doesn't look all that great, but it will never die. A 1989 Chevrolet Suburban for $2,400. That thing will live in infamy.
I'm surprised it wasn't turned in for cash for clunkers back then.
Back then, yes.
There was a lot of them turned in back
Well, if you
then.
look at that picture close, you'll see why it sold for such little.
It's got some patina.
Yeah. Fender changes and stuff like that.
Looks like your truck.
It does look like your truck, Conrad.
Okay.
Now, we're just trying to be funny. He took it seriously.
I know.
Well, I like the 72 Ford Ranchero in here.
Okay. Well, how about this one? The 73 Dodge Dart Swinger. You ready for how much they got for this thing?
Dodge Dart
No, it looks
Swinger.
just like a stock Dodge Dart Swinger.
40.
$12,600. When that car was new, it was less than half that price.
Oh, yeah. I would say when it was new, it was probably under $4,000.
Unbelievable. Here's one that I think I'd like to have. It's clearly a modified car, but 1930 Ford Model A. It sold for $22,050. This is one for Mars, so he can maneuver all of the traffic over there in Neaterville.
Uh-oh.
A 1972 International Scout 2.
Ooh, I'd
Love them.
Yeah, I'd love to have one of those.
It's priced right. $5,500.
There you go.
But if you're real quiet in the morning, you can listen to that car rust.
Rust. Yes, you're probably right. Here's another 30 Ford Model A. and it's not my cup of tea. It's been chopped, but whatever. It's got a big V8 in it.
All right.
17,325. No fenders, none of that stuff.
Had the
Susie's out there nesting.
the cool delete.
Yeah, right. How about a 65 Ford Mustang?
Okay.
Now, you have no clue how many wrecks this thing has been in or the rust factor or anything. We don't know anything about it other than it looks pretty.
Well,
It's a
65 Mustang,
65 Ford Mustang sold for.
highly desired,
$7,000.
14 grand.
It looks like it could be a 6-cylinder, but maybe it's a small block.
22.
$50,400.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
For 50 grand, it better be a K code.
I don't. No, it's not. Mars, this is one for you. The '77 Pontiac Bonneville. Brown.
Ooh.
It's brown, Mars. Your color.
buddy.
Baby diaper brown.
Battlestar Galactica.
That's it.
When you parked it, it took 2 zip codes.
That's right. $2,800.
Oh,
and it's
man.
clean. It looks pretty good,
That's
except
a
for that
steal.
color. Ugh. 1946 Dodge pickup truck. 31.5.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
And
money.
they'd have got 37.5 if they'd have sold it a couple of weeks ago at Lone Star Throwdown.
Yes, exactly. That may be where it came from. Who knows? 1964 Mercedes-Benz 220B. This is your great-grandfather's sedan, and he was smoking a pipe and had his driving sweater on with the
Patches.
leather elbow patches.
And a beret.
And $7,500.
If it's in working order, that's really not
And I
bad.
think they call those the pontoon Mercedes.
Stacked headlights.
I think the Queen had one.
Did she?
I think so.
I don't think the Queen drove German
Yeah.
cars.
I
Bet you she drove
does.
mostly
She's British
I bet
cars.
you
Yeah.
she drove mostly
Yeah.
English
1980
Wow.
Triumph TR8. Now that was the one with
That's
the
the
V8 in it.
wedge. That's the wedge
Yep.
with the little.
But
Buick.
this one here was a convertible, and it sold for $27,300.
Wonder what Stein would think about that. He's quite the Triumph fan.
I did get to see Ron
Yeah,
Stein.
we saw around last week.
He wasn't there when we were at the hideout. He came later
Okay, how's he doing?
for the party. Well, he's alive and well.
Good.
And
Good friend of the show.
yeah, Ron Stein. Anyway, so Ronnie, if you're listening, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
And hope to talk to you again soon. Here's something that I thought was pretty interesting enough for me to print out the story from Automotive News. AutoNation's $190 million acquisition in January of mobile service firm RepairSmith has energized the small but growing mobile repair world and highlights how dealerships can remain relevant in a rapidly changing retail environment. AutoNation CEO Mike Manley, remember that name, Mars?
Yeah.
Mike Manley said buying RepairSmith gives the nation's largest new vehicle retailer the ability to, quote, penetrate the extensive after-sales service market,
Mm-hmm.
end quote. Mobile repair firms offer a variety of automotive services such as replacing parts and fluids, washing and detailing vehicles, and changing tires. The services are generally booked via a mobile phone app. So apparently they feel, Mike Manley feels, that it's another extension of what was traditionally a fixed operation at
Right.
a car dealership. And we've seen mobile repair services around.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there'll
But-
be a little story about that in my next segment.
Oh, do you have something about that? Yeah. I just thought that it was interesting that this is apparently an up-and-coming thing.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're a really good repair guy, you could make some major bucks.
Well, Cadillac has done a roadside assistance Escalade for years, where one of the technicians that works in the shop is assigned the roadside assistance guy, and he takes the Escalade home for the weekend, and if they get a roadside call, they go out. And they carry a modicum of inventory of parts on the vehicle. They do some batteries. They do a lot of tire service, but they would also send that roadside assistance guy out to do some of the more simple recalls for customers at their home. So Cadillac's had that aspect of roadside assistance
Sort of
for
like
a
an
number of years.
in-house AAA.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, apparently it's worthy enough of
Hey, if it's worth
$190 million.
million.
That's significant. So I've turned this into kind of a news story segment. Is that
It's
okay?
all right. Perfectly okay.
All right.
It's your show. We're just here for the ride.
No, it's not my show. It's our show. And,
It's Mike's show.
it's Mike's show.
Mike is
How is Mike doing?
not doing well over here.
Well, you could pull your microphone up to your mouth so we could all hear you.
Well,
What?
Well,
He's
that's
still
what
trying to
I would
find
be
Rollins.
afraid you might hear what I am muttering over here to myself.
I can only imagine.
Muttering.
So do I take this thing that you wrote so cleverly and sent to me about our next guest and put that in the bottom of the pile?
Well, give me about 2 more minutes, and this, if we can't do something, we'll
Move on.
go
Uh-huh.
on.
Okay. You heard, and we've done the story before, that Tesla has slashed the price of their cars to compete with all this surge in competition in the electric cars.
I think some of their price slashing was to get a couple of their models under that government limit.
Tesla slashed prices of its Model S sedan and Model X crossover in the U.S. $5,000 and $10,000 respectively, as the company seeks to goose demand in the final month of the quarter. The Model S all-wheel drive is now $89,900, down 5.2%. That's significant. The Model S Plaid, the
That's
fastest
hot
car
rod.
that they've got, is now $109,990, down 4.3%. The Model X all-wheel drive now $99,990, down 9.1%. And I find it interesting that they've got enough leeway in their prices that they can still make money and slash the price. So how much money were they making per car?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, and if you look at, Tesla never offered rebates. So when you look at the...
They don't have dealerships.
No, but when you look at the OEM rebate programs, kind of did the same thing. When they were offering $5,000 rebate, that was just a discount in the vehicle that was being provided by the manufacturer that, affected the manufacturer's income. But their purpose of that was they'd offer the rebate to move iron so they could keep production running.
Yeah. And so they didn't make quite as much money, but they still made
On
a
the volume.
boatload of money off the car.
Yeah, I imagine Elon's still quite profitable.
I
Yeah.
would imagine so.
Still waiting for Mars to get him on the show.
He is just not very responsive. I'm just going to tell you, there's a couple of people that it's like,
Pulling IT.
exactly.
Yeah, well, we're still waiting.
Yeah.
Don't hold our breath is what you're saying, Mars?
Yeah. Well, I don't
He's-
know. It depends on how much you're picking on me today. I might let you hold your breath.
Well, he's over
For a
there.
long
He's
time.
over there doing his little girl texting.
Little girl.
What
does that mean?
This.
Well, he's trying to get the guest
hey,
on.
Joni, what's going on?
Joni.
Joni.
Joni. Yeah, where's Chachi?
Chachi.
All right.
Chachi and Joni.
All right.
Used vehicle prices. We really need to get the Emmons brothers on.
Yep.
Used vehicle prices
They're
rise
racing again.
again in February, bucking 2022 trends. They rose in February, fueled by stronger demand and tightened supply, according to two major indicators. One of those, the Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index, recorded a third straight month of increases.
Wow.
Again,
Surprised it's still going up, considering it skyrocketed in
Yeah.
2021.
Cox Automotive said Tuesday that its Manheim Index, a measurement of wholesale used vehicle prices calculated by tracking vehicles sold at Manheim's U.S. auctions and applying statistical analysis to those figures, rose 4.3% in February from January.
That's a lot.
That is the index's largest increase for any February since a 4.4% rise in 2009, which adjusts, according to Cox, adjusts its figures for mix, mileage, and seasonality. So I guess there is a season for buying.
Yeah.
And a season for selling. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I guess it depends also on what kind of vehicle. Is it a sedan? Is it an SUV? Do they sell more SUVs? Do they sell?
Is there a season for gas versus electric?
Well, and think about what I said earlier about as the price goes down, these used car operators, their inventory, they have to adjust that value of their inventory as the price goes down. So as the price goes up, they're adjusting the value of that inventory as well. So they're gaining in the market as the price goes up like that.
So it's just manipulation. That's all it is.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody's truly manipulating it. I think that market is more driven by supply and demand than it can be by somebody playing games in the market.
I'll tell you what, man, you better be really on your toes if you want to have a used car lot these days.
Yeah. Especially if you're carrying 400 or 500 vehicles.
Yeah. Mr. Mars?
Mr. Rawlings.
Mr. Rawlings just popped in on us.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So, Richard Rawlings, Gas Monkey Garage, on the line with us. Let's talk to him.
He's muted. He needs to unmute.
Oh, you have to unmute your there you go. He's unmuting. Boom, there it is. Richard, how are you?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm hanging out at Daytona Bike Week and fixing to go down on the beach and have a cold beer.
I like it.
Nice.
So we got word, we got some rumblings from Gas Monkey that you're going to give away a 2023 Dodge Challenger Jailbreak. Why?
Well, it's not that I'm just giving one away. It's also I'm giving the allocation away, which means that the winner is going to get to come down to Dallas and party and have some Texas barbecue and hospitality. And then they are going to sit down on the computer and design and spec their own one-of-one jailbreak with over 40 or so different choices of what to do with it. So they're not just getting a car like I would pick myself or I went and got and give them, hey, here's your car. They're getting to design their own car.
That's really cool. I mean, have you ever done this before?
No, I have not. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever seen it done. A lot of companies out there give away some cars, and that's great. I mean, it's a good way to increase your business. But to give somebody the opportunity to design one, and especially right now at the end of the fire-breathing dragon, so to speak, carbureted motors, a fuel-injected, burning real fuel, it's going to be pretty cool. This will be a car that 100% goes up in value.
So how do I get my name in the hat to get this car?
Well, you go to gasmonkeygarage.com, and everything you purchase gets you entries into being selected as the winner. Or if you're in Dallas, you can stop by my shop and museum there and check it out. And same thing goes there. Everything you buy gets you entries.
I like it. Speaking of which, what have you got currently working in the shop that you're excited about?
We're doing a Mustang right now, a 68 Mustang, but we have wide-bodied it in a very unconventional way.
Nice.
If you think about going at the points of the front fenders where it meets the hood,
Yep.
and then cut the car all the way down the top of those points, all the way to the back, across the top of the doors and across the top of the rear quarters, and then we've widened it. It would be referred to as section instead of just gluing on some plastic stuff from overseas or screwing on some tin. We literally wide-bodied this Mustang, and so it's 6 inches wider in the rear than a normal 68, and it'll be all slammed and huge horsepower Coyote, 6-speed. It's going to be a really neat little car.
Sounds like a fun build.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Something unique as opposed to, people think of wide body and they think of the old C3 Corvettes that John Greenwood built with just some big pontoon fender flares
like
on
a dually.
This one done, more classic where they've literally widened the body.
But in an unconventional way.
Right. By cutting it down.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty exciting. When you hope to get that done?
We are going back together as we speak, so it's going to be pretty quick from here. We'll go completely together, test and tune, and then we'll go completely back apart and paint and finish out, and then we'll be done. So probably within the next 60, 70 days, it'll be finished.
So, Richard, is that Mustang for a client, or is that your personal collection?
This one is actually for a client. We very rarely have clients because we kind of just make what we want to make and sell it and push the envelope on creativity. But this guy came in with his company, and they wanted to have a statement piece for their company. They're actually doing a auction platform for automobiles, similar to Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, and what have you. So this will be kind of their showpiece.
Nice. How's your online show doing, Gas Monkey Garage?
Well, sir, since I left cable, I will tell you that we are about 5 or 6 times larger than we were as far as followers. And, the cable itself, and especially the channels that play shows like mine, are they're in deep trouble. I get more viewers on a show that I drop on a Monday or a Tuesday than they could get in prime time on a Monday night, 2 years ago. And it's even worse now. So, we get quite a few growth patterns going right now, and we're real excited about the future. We've got some really amazing things planned for 2023. I'm very confident saying what I do in the next 5 years is going to make the last 10 look like nothing.
Yeah, the viewership on most, or if not all, of the automotive channels have dwindled as well. I'm sure you see that. We see it over here. Well,
the problem is that the automotive channels that are out there right now, the automotive shows that are out there right now, the companies or the networks that have it, they don't have a budget, and also the rules have gotten so strict that I kind of consider Gas Monkey the last of the Mohicans of being able to come on TV and build your brand and create a following and create a movement. And they put the rules so strict now on the creators out there. If I didn't have a show and they came to me right now and said, "Hey, would you like to do one?" You take one look at the contract and you're going to go, "No way, I'm not doing it." They want your business, they want your brand. Just in case you're a success, they want to take it all from you, and that leaves no one really wanting to do it, and therefore kind of crappy shows.
Yeah, well, you would know more about that than us, but we certainly enjoyed the television aspect of your show, and now the online thing, I think, gives you a lot more room for creativity.
And you talked about what you're building this year. Do you have you at all planned on doing an EV conversion at Gas Monkey?
My guys just got back, or getting back today, as a matter of fact, from Arizona with Legacy EV, and just took a week-long course in conversions and getting a regular car to electric and vice versa.
Okay.
And really, I've immersed them into the thought, and we do have one planned. It is going to break the internet because what I do is going to be pretty freaking slick and a little bit, as always, as Gas Monkey does it. We're kicking the doors in, so electric, here we come. And, it's part of the future. It's part of what's going on, whether you agree with it or not. And the way I look at it is, it's still a car, it's still a hot rod. I'm going to break into the computer just like I break into the heads, and I'm going to change it up and make it faster. So let's go.
I love it. All right, so once again, if you want to get in on the Gas Monkey Garage giveaway number 5, build your own jailbreak, how do we do that, Richard?
GasMonkeyGarage.com. And every dollar you spend gets you in, or come by Merrill Road there in Dallas if you're in town. I'm open 7 days a week, and, we plan to have some fun with it.
We love talking to you, man. Best of luck to you, and let's stay in touch.
Yeah, I've posted a link to
guys.
Gas Monkey Garage on our social media.
Yeah, we
get
got
you some of that.
Get you some of that. All right. Thanks, Richard.
All
right,
Thank
bye.
you, guys.
Okay.
Cool.
Are you ready for the race card? Because we have a sponsor.
We do.
Yep. Our In-Wheel Time race card is sponsored by Texas Nostalgia Modified Production. Remember it, look it up, be there. Now here's Conrad.
So Gator Nationals is this weekend, so NHRA is finally back. Did you notice that Erica was qualified P1 as of the last night? So that was fun to see. And then March 24th, they're going to be at the Arizona Nationals at Wild Horse Pass Motor Park. Then March 30th, NHRA will be at the Winter Nationals in Pomona. This weekend as well, NASCAR is at Phoenix. March 26th, NASCAR will be at Circuit of the Americas up in Austin. So if you want to go see a road course race at NASCAR, it's going to be close by. March 19th, the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix for Formula One.
All right.
Did you watch Formula One last weekend, Jeff?
No, I didn't.
I actually did watch, I think it was 38 and a half seconds.
Okay. And then locally, the Texas Mile, March 24th through 26th, down at Chase Field in Beeville. And we're hoping to get some follow-up from the high school crew.
Oh, yeah, for the mile.
For the mile. Yes. And her S10 pickup truck. So that's racing.
All right. Thank you, sir. Jeff has an interesting feature. Jeff's top 5 fastest EVs, as we're talking about
and,
EVs.
You know, I'm always saying tub it out and throw an LS in it. Well, we're going to do that with 4, but they're not necessarily LSs.
All right.
So in the beginning here, I got to turn that on. Hold on a second. I've got fingers to push, buttons and all that.
You can do 2 things at
I'm
once. The
doing
guy's
that.
a drummer.
I do that.
You would
During
think.
World War II, Ford
Use
was
your
a
feet.
huge defense supplier building bombers, Jeeps, and other war-related products.
God.
The Army asked if Ford could create a V8 from a V12 to power the Sherman tanks. The result was the Ford GAA, the largest Ford V8 ever built. It displaced 1,100 cubic inch displacement. It produced 525 horsepower and a very tank-like 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. Many still exist, and one intrepid Mustang racer is in the process of building a car around that tank
1100
motor.
can't-
You would have to beef up the suspension
Oh,
a little
man.
bit to
That
hold
is the
that thing.
ultimate drop an LS in it, baby. I'm telling you what, that's cool.
Next.
Next
Drop a
one
tank
is
on it.
drop a tank on it. The next one is a helicopter gas turbine engine powered Mini Cooper. This isn't actually an engine replacement, but rather an addition of a second engine, a 2-engine car. There's a Cooper S engine driving the front wheels and a Rolls-Royce Allison 250 C20B gas turbine engine driving the rear. This engine, which is not a jet in the sense that it produces
Why?
thrust from combustion to move the aircraft forward,
No.
but rather gas turbo shaft engine.
No, here's the real question. How do you sync 2 completely different motors?
Powertrains.
That's what I was wondering. But
Not my job.
you know, with that kind of horsepower in the back,
Do you have do you have 2 gas pedals? Because a jet engine,
Yeah.
it takes a while to crank
Yeah.
that thing up.
Well, I think this is more like a turboprop that it's actually.
Well, in this case, designed to power the helicopter rotor blades through compact. The gas turbine engine produces 420 horsepower with over 400 foot-pounds of torquishness.
and we're hoping Don's
so
going
you
to get
just-
to do a test
so you
drive.
just
No, hell
start the
no.
back tires turning and let them smoke all the time, and then
Yeah,
you
why
let the
not?
front tires move
Why
you
not?
down the road.
The next one we have is the Nissan 240 SX Cummins turbo diesel. Normally, when you see a 92 Nissan 240 SX with an engine swap, it's an underpowered OE 4-cylinder. This builder, for whatever reason, went the other direction. In the case of
Put a
in
12-valve
Indiana,
Cummins in
where
it.
the Cummins diesels are built, now a 4-cylinder 3.9 Cummins 4BT fits under the hood, mostly in this Nissan. Stock Cummins produces 105 horsepower, a modest 265 foot-pounds of torque. It's been upgraded with a Holset HX35 turbocharger and a Garrett intercooler. Can you say understeer?
Yeah, that's one way to
That's
put
Let's
it.
go
comment on
drifting
it. Let's
and
go
roll
understeer.
coal.
Yep. Okay, the next one is a jet-powered VW Beetle. How'd you like this hanging out your back end?
My gosh.
Here's
it
another
looks like
dual-engine
Some
concept.
sort of a probe. back there.
Retaining the OEM engine and drivetrain to mainly legal street worthiness, but a General Electric Model T58-8F in the rear cargo area. This is a helicopter turbo shaft engine converted by a builder to jet. Now, this builder
That'll
has
teach you not to tailgate.
this builder has a PhD in mechanical engineering. It is 26,000 RPM, 13,000 RPM air draw, which is 11,000 CFM cubic feet per minute.
Yeah.
Through open windows, you get the air coming in the sides and then through the roof. 1,350
You know, you
horsepower.
have
It
to be-
sucks all the dust off the
And
ground.
sucks you right out of the seat and into the motor.
And the paint off the car next to you. There's no mention of speed or anything like that, but that's what you have.
Oh my God! It's kind of like a prostate exam going on.
Tub it
back
out,
in
put a
there.
helicopter engine
The
in.
In-Wheel
you
Time
go.
Car Talk show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. And podcasts available at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk show continues right after this quick break.
Tailpipes and Tacos, Houston's premier car cruise in returns Saturday, April 15th to the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. Bring your Hot Rod, Classic, Restomod, or any other vehicle you'd like to show and compete for one of 3 highly coveted chili pepper trophies. This April 15th kickoff event is one you'll want to put on your calendar because 100% of the money you donate for the free tacos will be given to God's Garage. You heard right. Free tacos. Whatever you decide to give, all of it will be given to God's Garage and matched by Lupi Tortilla. God's Garage gifts vehicles to single mothers, widows, and wives of deployed military in the greater Houston area. In fact, the Garage will gift a vehicle to a mom in need at this special event. Be sure to attend the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Saturday, April 15th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Free breakfast tacos for any donation to God's Garage. It'll make your heart and your belly feel good.
Live from the Sugar Shack in Sugar Land, Texas. It's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we talk the spring edition of the Texas Mile Speed Event. Conrad will have the In-Wheel Time Car Clinic, and I'll bring you this week's auto news. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more, Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this Saturday, and thank you very much for doing such a thing. Now, Mr. Mars has a special guest on the line, and he's going to introduce her.
Shannon,
Good morning.
how are you
Good
today?
morning.
Well, wait a minute. Doesn't Shannon have a last name? Wait just a minute. Hold on,
let's
Shannon.
stop right
So they're
there.
trying.
Yeah, we want to get Mars to pronounce your last
Yeah,
name.
yeah.
Now, don't spoil it, Shannon. Let Mars pronounce your last name because here's
I'm going with Mathis.
I got the over and under on this. What's it?
You're going to go what?
With Mathis.
Mathis?
Mathis.
Mathis?
They're giving me a hard time here.
So what is it,
It's been this
Shannon?
way since 6
So
o'clock this
what
morning.
what is your last name, Shannon?
We pronounce it modest.
Modest.
That was close.
Yes.
No, you weren't.
You got the M right.
Even if you had it right, we would say you didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Mars
That's the reason I'm at the end of the table down here. It all flows down.
It does. Then it falls off.
It does. Well, Shannon, as you can tell, we're not serious about anything here.
Let's hope you are.
And we hope that you are at the Texas Mile coming up in a couple of weeks in Belleville. So, Shannon,
Well, actually, it's Beeville, Texas.
Beeville.
My.
Did I type
Yes.
Belleville?
No, it's Beeville.
Well, hold on just a moment. Let me see
You
what
type Sacramento.
Sacramento. Did he do? I don't know. I have to find the sheet. Give me just a second.
Nevertheless.
It doesn't
that's
make
okay.
any difference.
That's okay.
At Chase Field in Beeville.
There you go.
Yes, at Chase Field in Beeville, Texas.
Okay, Chase Field in Beeville.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay,
It's going to be Friday, March 24th through Sunday, March 26th.
Field, Beeville.
And it's a standing
Yes.
start mile run.
All right,
Top speed.
And so how is it? Is the actual runway at the airport there? Is it 1 mile in length?
It is about 9,000 feet, so a little bit over a mile and a half. So you have a mile to achieve top speed and about a half a mile to shut down.
Okay, and this is not. You don't get a running start at the beginning of it. You have to start at a dead stop.
Yes, it is a standing start. But for anybody that has competed in either half mile, Texas Mile, or the Texas Mile, you roll into it. It's not like a drag race where you're trying for time off the line. You roll into it, ease up into it, start getting the gears to get your top speed. Either we do both a half mile and the mile in the same event.
Shannon, how in the world did you get involved in this?
My husband. That's how I got involved in this. His love and passion has been in racing. And in 2003, when the street laws came out in the state of Texas, and we were the original directors for the state of Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana for NASA, the National Autosport Association.
Yep.
And he decided that we needed to add an event that could attract the people that were trying to do these tollway, top speed type of situations, that we wanted to get off the streets and into a safe, fun, and well-organized environment. And that is literally how we started it. And it just started with a few friends. Our first event was 35 participants and 10 staff members.
Wow.
How much you got now?
We've grown to around, we've had events where we've had about 200, 250,
Wow.
Yeah.
and several thousand fans.
Well, her husband got her involved in it, but it sounds like she's taken over the project.
You have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
No, actually, I'm the people end of the event. He is definitely, without a doubt, from making sure we call it. I run the cold side, and he runs the hot side.
So, have you ever made a run? Have you made a run down the track?
I made a run down one time. This was several years ago, and we were at Ellington for a half-mile event. And it was in our Cadillac CTSV.
Well, there you go.
Fun car to take down the track.
So my top speed's 135, which is not in comparison to the rest of the participants, but that was enough for me.
Well, what is the top speed that you have recorded since you've been doing this event in the 1 mile?
It is 300 miles an hour.
You've been 300 miles an hour?
No, that's the top speed.
No, not
The
me.
fastest at the event.
Once again, you weren't paying attention.
You're right.
I'm trying to. Never mind.
And if I
Don't
remember
ask.
that, isn't that Mark IV Motorsports? And they're
It's M2K.
M2K. And
M2K.
they're Ford
And-
GT.
And they're Ford GT.
Right.
Wow.
Correct.
Do you have folks showing up with EVs?
We do have a few folks that will show up with EVs. They're not as popular.
Is that a separate class?
At the event. Yes, we do a separate class for EVs.
Okay, so
Do you have a limit on the speed that they can go?
The limit is based on their tech speed, so what the safety equipment they have in their vehicle, as well as their licensing speed. So that is
So
that limits them.
the EV is just like the gas. It's just if they're equipped to go a certain speed, they can go it.
Yeah. Depends on
Yes,
how
exactly.
well caged the vehicle is.
Well, we also how well caged, but also we have to check the nut behind the wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got to tighten that thing up.
That is piloting the vehicle. So that's a very important aspect of it as well.
okay, so I have a bone stock 2001 Corvette with an LS1 motor in it. That's the stock. Everything's stock. Okay.
Okay.
And I wanted to give it a shot at the Texas Mile. What do I got to do?
You can go on our website, and we have registration information on there. It's texasmile.com.
Okay.
And we have our registration information on there, and you can register for the event. You can either register for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or you can register for Saturday, Sunday. So that's the first step, is to register for the event. We also have online the technical compliance rules, and you can take a look at those. And then when you get to the event, you have a technical compliance sheet that you fill out, and you'll check in with us. You'll do your technical compliance, and then you'll meet with our race director in reference to your licensing. So if you have experience and have proven experience, then you're allowed to go up to certain speeds. But for that particular vehicle, you're not allowed to go over 199.9.
What about motorcycles? You let the two-wheeler guys get in there, guys and gals?
Oh, yes. So in this last event that we had in October, Shane Stubbs, in his 2007 Suzuki Hayabusa 1300, it's a black, beautiful motorcycle, he went 253.7.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, not me.
Well, first of all, I don't think that my 2001 Corvette would do over 200 miles an hour.
I would venture that'd be in the 140-ish
Bring it by
range.
much.
Yeah,
Bring it by
I was
much.
gonna
We
say,
can try it up. Yeah.
No, but I want to go back to that. Thank you for interrupting. But I want to go back to that. So I don't know anything about anything that you've got going on there. I'm not licensed. I'm not registered. I'm not anything. Okay, so when I get to the track, I've registered. I go there, and I want to run my 2001 Corvette down the track, the 1 mile track, and see what it'll do. So I don't know what it'll do. I assume that it'll probably do what Conrad says, maybe 140, 150, but I don't know that. I've never been that fast in a car. I've been 130. That's as fast as I've ever gone. So,
Okay.
So how would you treat me? With kindness and gentleness, I hope.
Oh, boy.
Yes. But you would
Laughing
start off
hysterically.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You actually, the majority of our participants, if you look at our last event and you look at the runs of all of our participants, we had 162 different vehicles in the event, or different participants in the event.
Yeah.
And of those, only 26 went over 200.
Well, I'm not going to do over 200. I would get scared. I would get scared before I got to 200.
But the vast majority of our participants are just like you. They maybe have never done this before, but they want to be able to experience the machinery which they have purchased and be able to enjoy it.
All right.
So we do have a licensing program. You will meet with our race director. You will go through a driver's meeting. You will have to do some passes that are slower. So maybe the speed that you've already achieved, at 130. Before you can ratchet it up to any type of speed, you've got to be able to prove that you can achieve some of the slower speeds. When I say slower, to me, that's not slow. That's very fast. But you have to prove that you can achieve that speed.
Safely.
And safely, correct. So we have technical inspectors that you'll be working with. You have a race director that you'll be working with. We have a whole staff. We have 70 people that work our events over that weekend. So we will walk you through the process. I like for our participants to get there. If they're participating on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we like for them to get up there on Thursday, get settled in. And we do a slow drive-through through the course as well. So that before you go down there to top
the course is one straight landing strip is what the course is.
Yes.
Okay. So
but y'all know in wheel time, right? As far as any course is different. They
that's true.
Have their different characteristics.
Right.
Where you can turn off, there's different characteristics. So we want you to be familiar with that piece of stretch of road.
Do I have to bring a helmet?
Yes, you do. There's safety gear requirements: helmet, gloves, long sleeve shirt, pants, closed-toed shoes.
Okay, so I mean, I don't have to wear a fire suit or anything like that.
Not at those speeds.
Okay.
So Don shows up in his Corvette. He's all dressed in black, long sleeve, like he normally is on a Saturday night, and he puts on his black helmet. And so you take him through the walkthrough, and you tell him, okay, you got to make a pass at 90 miles an hour, and then do the 130 because he's done that before. So then he gets out there on race day, and his class, I think you said you can't go over 190?
He can't go over 190, correct.
Okay. What prevents him from doing that? What prevents him from just going all out and his car happened to do 198?
Well, he can't go over 199.9.
Okay. Well, all right. So he goes 205.
Yeah. So if he goes 205, that would be a miracle in that particular vehicle. But
okay. In that vehicle,
somebody dropped it out of a plane.
Well, I guess go ahead.
We have a complete timing system, so it doesn't prevent, right? It's just like with any rules and regulations that we have in the world. It doesn't prevent people from doing things that they should not be doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he may not know that he can do that in that car. I mean, obviously, if that's his first time doing something like that.
This is what I find. The most people that build vehicles up to certain speeds know what their vehicles are able to do. Mm-hmm. We also have the technical experience on our teams that they know based on your motor builds, your suspension builds, based on your transmission, all those different factors, what you could possibly achieve. So if you have a car that is beyond your experience, we will know that, and we will be talking to you in advance in regards to what you need to do to make sure that you're keeping it, that you're not blowing out your speed. So that is one of the things that we do on the front end of the events, is to be able to do that and talk with you in regards to that. But if you do, we monitor all the speeds. So you will not get your speed slip in that particular case and you will have a discussion with our race director as far as next steps are concerned.
Yeah, like you're under arrest, get out of here, things like that.
No, actually, a lot of it has to do with your attitude as the driver. So if it was a pure accident and we discuss it and we talk about it, then you have another chance.
Yeah, like he could bump 199, but it accidentally went to 200. Okay, you're going to take a.
But
you're gonna have to talk to somebody.
As you mentioned before, this can be a bit of a run what you brung program. I was looking at
It is exactly a run what you brung program. That is the heart and soul of the event. It is run what you brung. We do have different types of classes, but they're more in regards to if you have manual or automatic transmission.
right.
Those different types of parameters
What kind of power adders you have? Yeah.
Yes, what kind of power adders you have. We want to keep this very simple, run what you brung, come out, give an opportunity we pay a lot of money for these vehicles that we have. And
Absolutely, we do.
It gives you a place to go out and enjoy that. I had a participant, I think he was from Michigan. It was one of those states that's, way up, near the Canadian border. And he said that he traveled 1,600 miles just so he could see how fast he could go in a mile. That's the typical heart and soul of our participants.
Yeah. All right, well, I just Googled it here and looked up online, and it says that it, generally speaking, should do about 170 top speed. It's not limited to a mile, but 170, and I don't want to go that fast, but it would take, I think, longer than a mile to get it at 170.
Well, your Arkansas event, you had the fastest RV that went almost 109 miles an hour in an RV.
Nice.
Yes.
While tailgating.
So again, it's run what you brung. If you pay the fee, you can, and you pass technical inspection, you can get on the track and see what you can do.
Well, I think it was pretty good because you mentioned earlier the CTS-V. To me, that would be the kind of a car that you would want to say, okay, well, this thing really do 130, and where else are you going to go try it safely?
Exactly. Exactly. We have every make, model of vehicle that comes to the event.
Cool. And some people that buy that new high horsepower vehicle and they like, well, I can't do this on the street, so let me go to the Texas Mile and see what I can do.
Right.
I remember when I was at that half mile event, I swore this guy was driving a Porsche 911 Turbo S, and it still had paper tags on it. And I bet you he did 20 rounds between the 2 days I was there. Just kept doing laps and laps and laps. So with a paper tag on it.
There you go. That's a heck of a test drive.
The time that I went 130, I had a 1977 Corvette that didn't have a whole lot of horsepower, and it also didn't have a rear spoiler. And I know in that particular car, it got real light in the rear end when you got up there at 130 miles an hour. The back end would float around.
Drift on you, yeah.
Yeah, and I would like to think that my C5 would be a little bit more aerodynamic than the C3.
Well, I know one of the things I learned at the half mile event was, traction's still an issue, even if you're going a mile.
Straight.
You still got to get the tires to move you forward, and depending on what kind of power adders you have, leaving.
I am thrilled that you have mentioned that because there is a mindset that some people have is that it's all about the horsepower. But if you cannot get that horsepower
to the ground
through your suspension, which includes your tires, and that it's moving forward in a straight line continuously, then how much horsepower you have does not matter.
Right?
We do talk to our participants in reference to, what do you have your spring set at? those types of things, because there's all sorts of different, it's not like you're traveling on glass.
Right.
There is different components to every facility. It's asphalt to concrete, right? So there's different types of surfaces even within the airstrip itself.
And you have to deal with expansion joints as you go down the track as well, because even the airstrip's going to have some expansion joints.
Yeah, ambient temperature.
So how
all
does that? How does that upset the vehicle as you go over some of that stuff?
Do you still have room? Do you still have room for people to sign up?
Yes, we do.
You do? Okay, I'm surprised.
Yes, you do. And you can sign up online, or you can come and sign up at the event.
And TexasMile.com.
Yeah, I've posted a link on our social.
TexasMile.com.
Well, this has been absolutely fascinating. I never even dreamed about doing something, participating in something like this. But you say there are a lot of people just like me that have, for instance, a 2001 stock Corvette with a 6-speed manual transmission that can get out there and do this.
Well, we have a previous
Yes,
guest that's
exactly.
coming down to run it. The young lady from, was it Wisconsin?
Ohio.
Naperville.
Yeah, so we
Illinois.
interviewed a young lady, high school student.
Yes.
And I guess you're familiar with her, and she's coming down with the
bringing their S10 down to run.
Yeah, so
Exactly. It's a project that they are doing. They're looking so forward to this event. We're very excited to be able to provide a venue.
Yeah, we had interviewed them, and they were so nervous, and I was like, I know a few people who have done these, and some of the people at the event, and they'll be more than happy to coach you along the way. They want to see you successful, so you probably get a lot of FaceTime and help from not just the event coordinators, but also other participants.
Oh, that is the nature of the event. Is every participant, when they're coming out, it is not just about what they're able to achieve, but it's about the whole experience of the event and sharing that with the fellow people around them.
Right.
And so she and her team will get plenty of assistance from our other participants that are there. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, that's
In
cool.
addition to that, we do have spectators. So you can come to the event and come and watch and bring out your family.
Got a mile-long grandstand.
There you go.
Yes, exactly. Well, we don't have any grandstands, but we do have safe spectator areas.
Well, Shannon, you have been an absolute delight to talk to. Great information, and you never know who might just show up out there.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Oh, Don's taking another day off.
Yeah, another day off.
yeah.
But Shannon, thank you again. TexasMile.com. We'll see you in Beeville in a couple of weeks.
That sounds great. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How fun was that?
That was nice.
That would be fun to do.
And they've been doing this for a while.
I know.
They do an October and a spring event, and very well known in the speed industry for drawing some of the best cars around.
And by the way, Mars, you did say here, Beeville.
Did I?
I was the one
You
that
said Belleville.
Belleville. Well, there's only a little change, very slight in
L.
different. Yeah, thank you.
In about 40 miles.
And about 40, that's it. All right, time now on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show for Conrad's Car Clinic. And I have allowed you 5 minutes for this particular segment.
And this is a life experience car clinic. You know, for years, people have relied on tread depth to determine whether, what their tire life is.
Mm-hmm.
And, the tread passes the penny test. They assume that the tire still has life, regardless of how old it is. Now, I know Jeff has talked many times on the show
Ad nauseam.
about the age of your tire.
Right.
And I knew the tires on the Rally were over 10 years old, and Jeff and I had talked about this earlier, and he said, you need to get new tires for it. So last weekend, I took the Rally out to, I got it fixed, and everybody knew I was struggling with getting it fixed, and took it out to Hemi Hideout, knowing that I was exposing myself to
It happens.
a potential problem with 10-year-old. Actually, they were 11-year-old tires. So going out to Hemi Hideout, no problem. Coming back from Hemi Hideout, got a little vibration a couple of times coming back. And I'm at highway speed, 65, 70 miles an hour. So as it started to vibrate, I'd kind of slow down where it wouldn't vibrate.
Right.
Got all the way home. And then it was time to change the oil in the car, so I drove the car, got the oil changed, and coming back after the oil change, I'm doing about 30 miles an hour on Jones Road, and the vibration came in.
Let go.
And came in real hot, and I'm slowing down, and then all of a sudden I hear, psh,
yeah,
and all the air was out of the tire, and I'm sitting there with a flat front tire.
It had a belt separation, probably.
So yeah, right down the middle of the tire, the belt separated from it. So I thought this would be a good conversation about, pay attention to the age of your tire. When you go into a place to get your car inspected, you get your the multi-point inspection most shops do. Ask them to check the age on the tire. There is basically a born-on date,
correct,
that is molded into the tire, so they can see. I believe it's the year and the week of the year. That they can identify when the tire was built.
So if it's 0520, that vehicle or that tire was built in the 5th week of 2020.
Mm-hmm. And mine were
1842.
1842. So that incident illustrated the potential danger of buying used tires as well, and the perils of driving on aging tires, including those that have never spent a day on the road. Because what I put on was a spare tire that had the same date as the other 4 tires on the vehicle.
And you said two key things there. When they do an inspection of the vehicle, have them check the tires, because there's generally a spare. Pickup trucks have it up underneath the bed of the truck. Check that, because a lot of times it doesn't have air in it, because it all evacuates out.
And if you're driving an older vehicle like my Yukon's a 2004, I know it's got relatively new tires on it, but I'll bet you money that is the original spare.
Yeah.
So that spare is close to 20 years old.
And the other thing you stated was the wear bar. It's at 330 seconds. Now, in the state of Texas, if your tread's down to that wear bar, it will not pass inspection, because that's an indicator to either the inspector or to you as the owner to see where that tire's at. There are tires that are made that have wear indicators for alignment in them.
Okay.
Yeah. So if it's out of line, the tread blocks will wear a little differently.
So the question comes, what's going on? What do I have to worry about? Well, if you think about the tire and kind of compare it to a rubber band. You ever pulled a rubber band out of the drawer and it's kind of dry and crumbly, and when you go to stretch it and it cracks immediately? That's exactly what's going on with your tire. That's a good
analysis, yeah.
Because your tire is expanding and contracting as you're driving down the road, and as you're stopping and accelerating, all of that change of shape of the tire.
Did you have little like spider cracks on the outside of the tread or the outside of the sidewall?
No, not at all.
Because UV light, the rays of the sun will actually damage the tire as well. It'll suck the oils and product out of the rubber as well.
So again, get your tires checked, and if you're driving an older vehicle, get your spare tire checked, because putting a spare on that's 20 years old it may get you off the highway, but it isn't going to do you any good.
Maybe.
And one of the neat things about this is, here I am in my 1970 Oldsmobile, kind of pulled over in a church parking lot,
dressed like Superfly,
with a flat front tire. And I called AAA to have them dispatch, and they said it was going to be like an hour and a half. And then all of a sudden, this young man in a pickup truck pulls in behind me and goes, "Hey, I'm a mobile mechanic. You want me to put your spare tire on for you?" I'm like, "Oh, absolutely, sure." So he jumps out. He gets a nice floor jack out, jacks the car up, gets his electric impact out, zing, 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 zing. He's got the tire on, the blown tire in the trunk.
You sent me a text that said that you had the tire changed in 15 minutes, and I called BS that you changed the tire in 15 minutes.
No, I didn't change the tire, but the mobile mechanic did.
There you go.
So when Don was talking about the mobile mechanic thing, it kind of tied all of this together. I was quite impressed.
Very cool.
And I asked the guy how much he wanted, and he said, "No, nothing." I'm like, I had some cash in the pocket, so I shared that with him.
Get his card and mention him on the air, yeah.
I was very grateful
cool.
for the service. So get your tires checked for age, not just wear.
Quick break now. You're on the N-Wheel Time Car Talk Show.
Tailpipes and Tacos, Houston's premier car cruise in returns Saturday, April 15th to the Lupe Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. Bring your Hot Rod, Classic, Restomod, or any other vehicle you'd like to show and compete for one of 3 highly coveted chili pepper trophies. This April 15th kickoff event is one you'll want to put on your calendar because 100% of the money you donate for the free tacos will be given to God's Garage. You heard right. Free tacos. Whatever you decide to give, all of it will be given to God's Garage and matched by Lupi Tortilla. God's Garage gifts vehicles to single mothers, widows, and wives of deployed military in the greater Houston area. In fact, the Garage will gift a vehicle to a mom in need at this special event. Be sure to attend the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Saturday, April 15th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Free breakfast tacos for any donation to God's Garage. It'll make your heart and your belly feel good. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com.
Live from Texas, USA, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, gassers mean different things to different people.
Oh, yeah.
But to us, it brings back fond memories of days gone by at the drag strip. Quinn Stott joins us to talk about the Southeast Gassers Association. Mars drives the Mazda CX-30. He'll tell you all about that. We got the events calendar and the stories making automotive news headlines all coming up. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us on the third hour of the In Wheel Time Saturday Car Talk Show. This is a live edition that we currently have. So everybody's demiking here.
Oh, boy.
Mars. Okay, so I got all that turned off.
Okay.
And do we have Quinn with us now? I'm sorry. You've got the wrong headset on there, Mr. Mars.
Yes, we do.
Oh, we do?
Connection. We've got him on audio.
Well, that's fine.
And we're just going to have to go with that.
Quinn, are you there with us?
I am.
Very nice. Thank you so much for joining us today. Gassers. I'm going to let you explain to our audience that doesn't know. What is a gasser? What makes a gasser a gasser?
Well, I'm going to start by saying I don't think I have real good service here, so I hope this is working okay.
It is. Yes, we hear you.
We've got good audio.
Okay. Well, I don't know why I don't have a video, but I'm scared to mess with it, so I'm afraid I'll turn it off.
Don't touch it. It's okay. We got your audio loud and clear.
Not only am I still living, trying to go back to 1967 of the gasser world, my technology brain is still in 1967, so I don't know how to use all this modern stuff.
Got it.
But you asked me what a gasser was. The reason we started Southeast Gassers was to try to protect the gasser name, and because everybody thinks a gasser is something different, and I could be on here for a long, long time explaining what a gasser is, so I'll try to give you a short version.
Good.
In the 1950s, NHRA had Top Fuel dragsters. They had Super Stock. They had Modified Eliminator. They had Stock Eliminator. But they had nowhere for the kid that had put a 40 Ford in his, or put a Cadillac engine in his 40 Ford to race. Everything else required the engine that came factory to be able to compete, or it had to be Top Fuel, which some young kid couldn't afford to do that. So NHRA decided to build a class that allowed engine transplants. In other words, you could put a Chevrolet engine in a Ford engine in a Chevrolet, whatever. So these kids that had hot rodded their car and took an engine out of a DeSoto or a Cadillac or whatever and put in it, they have a place to race. So the name of the class was originally gas coupe and sedan, and the key to the word there was gas. Really, the only rule was the number one rule was it had to run on gasoline. It had to be a full-bodied car. It couldn't be a chopped-up, no-fender deal. It had to be a full-bodied car, and it had to run on gasoline. They were allowed to set the engine back 10%, and the reason for that was they had no spec on where these particular engines should have been in the car because it wasn't a factory piece, so they adopted a 10% setback. Well, as time has went on over the next many, many years, we've even got groups out here now that's calling them gassers, and they run on alcohol. Just as an example of how the name gasser has been drugged through the mud. You can't call it a gasser if it runs on alcohol because that's breaking rule number one. The name of the class was gas coupe and sedan. Now, where the gasser name came from was when the announcers would be announcing these cars. The gas coupe and sedan name was just too long, so they started calling them gassers for short. So really and truly, gasser's not even their official name. That was their nickname. But everybody calls them gassers. So what we did by trying to develop Southeast gassers was to do it the way it really was, as close as possible, and protect that name. I could go into details. I mean, you see people, you can pick up I even picked up Hot Rod Magazine one time. That's supposed to be the holy grail of hot rod. And they had a picture of a car on the front cover with a 15-inch wide tire under the back. Huh. Nothing about this car suited the gasser era. And they was calling it a gasser and doing an article on gassers. And I'm like, oh, my God, even Hot Rod Magazine is leading people the wrong way.
Yeah, they fell for it.
Because the widest tire you could buy back then was 11 inches. We chose 1967 because that was the last year the gassers were really popular. They started dying a slow death after that. Actually, they died a quick death after that.
Now, I've been messing around with drag strips since, the 60s, and to me, a gasser always had a straight front axle.
Right.
Am I?
90% of them did. If you look back at the history, all the competitive ones did. That was the norm, and that's where I get bashed a lot on our rules. Our rules require them to have a straight front axle. But I have people call me all the time, how come I can't race with you? We don't have a straight front axle. And every gasser didn't have a straight front axle. Well, they're exactly right. Every gasser didn't. But 99% of them did. And if I made my rules that allowed a control arm front end instead of a straight axle, we wouldn't have any straight axle cars racing with us, because why would you do that? That's the wrong. Straight axle is not as good as control arm nowadays. Now, back then it was better, but with the technology we have now, a straight axle would be the last thing you'd want to put under a competitive race car.
So back in the
you have to have a straight axle.
So back in the day when that class, if you want to call it that, was being developed, I guess the straight axle was the thing to go to because, one, it was cheap. It got the car up in the air for the most part to get all of the weight transfer back to the back of the car. I mean, there were reasons why that they put straight axles under them. Am I correct?
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. There was reasons they done it, and the straight axle was a whole lot lighter because they got to get rid of all that control arm stuff. And the original intent was those two things: to get rid of weight, get the front end of the car up where it would transfer weight better.
Right.
Because you got to remember, back then the racetracks were junk. They were just asphalt tracks. The tires were junk. And that's sort of why the gasser era died, because by 1968, good tires had come out, tracks had gotten better, and the cars didn't have to sit as high anymore to work well. So they started lowering them, and of course then the later model cars started becoming, the Opals and all that stuff started getting involved. And So the Willises and the Anglias and the really cool cars started disappearing because they weren't competitive anymore with the modern body style.
Where are you?
That's why we cut ours off at 67, so we wouldn't get any of those modern body styles.
Where can I go to see the Gassers run?
We have 10 races this year. The first one's in Reynolds, Georgia, March 25th. Then we go to Shelby, North Carolina on April the 15th. Then the next month, we're in Knoxville, North Carolina. Then we go to Knoxville, Tennessee. Then we go to Orangeburg, South Carolina. Then we go to London, Kentucky. Then we go to Xena, Ohio, which is Killcare Dragway. A lot of people remember that's a real old drag strip. Then we go back to Knoxville. Then we go to Gulfport, Mississippi. Then we finish our final race in Shelby, North Carolina.
So the closest to us would be the Mississippi track.
Yeah.
Gulfport.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
That's going to be during Cruising the Coast. That's going to be
I've been there.
October the 7th.
I've been to Cruising.
It'd be a good time to go. We do both of them.
And the Cruising the Coast is a great event. They'll draw in 1,000 cars from around the country.
At least.
They do. And the guys, the new owners just bought over at Gulfport. They've been trying to get us down there for about 6 years, and they finally made us an offer we couldn't refuse. That's another cool thing. We could get on 1,000 subjects, but we have 22 racetracks right now on a waiting list, not counting the 10 we already go to. We have 22 on a waiting list begging for our show. The other nostalgia groups are begging for tracks. They're begging for racetracks to race at.
Sure.
We don't pay an entry fee. The tracks pay us to come, but the reason for that is we have something the rest of them don't have.
Right.
We have spectators.
Well, yeah, everybody wants to.
Bleachers everywhere we go.
Yeah, everybody wants to go see a. Yeah, everybody wants to go see a wheel standing.
We show what we advertise. Yeah.
What kind of a gasser? What kind of a gasser do you have?
Mine's a 48 Anglia.
Oh my gosh.
I had a 41 Willis, and I sold it. It went to Colorado, and I built a 41 Anglia this year.
What kind of motors it got in it?
It's got a 388 cubic inch engine, and we do weight to cubic inch. So I have to weigh 2340, I think it is.
With driver.
Keep in mind, I don't know if y'all know my history, but I ran Pro Modified for 17 years.
Oh, wow.
Or 19 years. 19 years. I was Pro Mod World Champion in 2006. And I'm telling you all this to lead somewhere. I'm not trying to put a feather in my hat. But I won World Championship, IHRA Pro Mod World Championship in 2006. I was voted number 11 top Pro Mod driver in the world. I was voted Carcraft Magazine All-Star Driver of the Year in 2001. And I could go on and on and on. But what I'm leading up to is I've been 250 miles an hour in a Pro Mod car in less than 5 seconds, under 5 seconds, under 6 seconds, I'll say. 540 something, I think it was, 560. Anyway, my Anglia is 2 seconds slower and twice as hard to drive. We don't even allow a shift light. We allow no modern electronics.
Seat of the pants.
Yeah, seat of the pants and the sound of the exhaust, and that's about it. I assume that you have a tachometer.
We have a tachometer. We have the equipment they would have had in 1967. Our cars have to be manual transmission. We don't. If you come to a Southeast Gasser race, you will not see an automatic transmission on the racetrack all day long. We don't even allow them in the pits. It's got to be a manual transmission. We don't allow a two-step, which is a throttle control on the starting line. They didn't have it in the 60s, so we don't have it. The only electronics we have is the ignition, and an argument can be made that the 63 Corvette did come out with electronic ignition. There was some form of it in the 60s, I should say, 66 or 7, I think it was. But it has to be just an internal MSD 6AL with no form of any kind of rev. We let them have a high side rev limiter for engine protection, and that's it. No kind of control, no timing retard, no anything like that, everything. And we do that simply because it just gets to the point you can't even find a set of points and condenser anymore.
What is the manual transmission of choice?
G-Force right now.
G-Force.
Seems like everybody uses G-Force. The reason we like the G-Force is it looks just like a Super T10. The old Super T10 that everybody ran back then. If you look at a G-Force transmission, the A10A, 101A G-Force, it looks just like it'll bolt in the same spot the Super T10 bolt in.
What?
You can unbolt the Super T10, cross member, bell housing, everything, and bolt a 101A G-Force right back in its place.
And I assume that in the development of the engine that you've got in there, that you did put it on a dynamometer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we dyno the stuff.
And so what kind of horsepower has that thing got?
Mine makes about 800, but I have people call me all the time and say, what kind of horsepower does it take to compete? And I said, you need about 2 horsepower per cubic inch, a little over 2 actually. And the reason I say that is we classify the car's weight to cubic inch. So you can build a 300-inch engine or you can build a 500-inch engine. Because if you build a 500-inch engine, let's just say you run that in C gas, it's 10 pounds per cubic inch. You got to weigh 5,000 pounds. You build a 300-inch engine, you only weigh 3,000 pounds. So when you sit down and do the math, it takes about a little over 2 horsepower to cubic inch to accelerate these cars. For example, the record in our C gas class is a 608. Now that's hard to believe. 608 in a 10 pound per cubic inch car with a manual transmission and all this. Just we don't even allow coilover shocks. It's got to be standard style shock. We do allow the adjustable shocks because they were out in the 60s. But we don't allow coilover. It's got to be a ladder bar. It can't be a 4-link. Obviously straight axle.
And do you allow altered wheelbases?
Only 1 inch.
Okay.
We allow, and we do that just because guys might make a mistake building the car.
Everything.
So we don't allow a noticeable. Now we do have an altered wheelbase class. We do have an AFX class, but it's still exhibition. We only have like 4 or 5 cars in that class.
So everything.
And we have the Platt brothers race with us. Houston, Rocky Platt, and his brother. So we've got the Platt brothers. We've got several guys in the AFX class. Seems to be getting a hold and growing. And of course, we make them have an altered wheelbase in that class.
So everything's back from the.
It has to be altered.
Everything's back from the 60s on this, and they're gassers.
Yes,
are you
67.
Are you paying the 60s prices for gas?
No. We're not paying 60s prices for parts.
Well, come on now.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
If we could go back in time and buy some of that gas, we could all be millionaires.
Quinn, it's a true pleasure to talk to you and go down. You guys should really have at least a 30-minute special on YouTube or something about y'all's class of cars. Yep. And show a race where somebody could easily edit it, nothing fancy, and you could just do the narration yourself over it. I know that it would get lots of views.
Yeah, they've got some videos on their website.
We've got some videos that get, we've got, I think some of our videos over 200,000 views on YouTube.
That's what I'm talking about.
We did live feed. Stuff for the last 3 years, but we're going to quit that. It actually tarnished our YouTube channel because they're 5 hours long. Nobody wants to watch a 5-hour long video. So we're going to go back this year to the 1-hour videos.
Yeah, it's kind of like our car show here. Nobody wants to sit and be labored over this
3 hours.
3 hours of car show. That's why we busted up into podcasts. But Quinn, we could go on and on. We could talk to you all day long. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Southeast Gassers Association, and I think Conrad has got your website up on our stuff, so it's easy to find. And we hope to talk to you again soon. Good luck this season, sir.
Well, guys, I've really enjoyed it, and next time we'll talk again, and we'll go over some more detail.
Love it.
You bet.
Thanks again. All right, Quinn Scott.
Love those old straight axle wheel standards.
I know.
That was the the thing you went to go watch when you went to the drag
I had a
races.
54 Chevrolet 3/4 ton pickup truck, and it had a straight axle in it with kingpins on either side of it. You could not destroy that thing.
No.
Yeah, it was built like a brick house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a brick.
I never had one
House.
with a straight axle under it. I always thought, we're going to build one. But there were several guys, Falcons, the early Chevy 2 Novas, 63, 64s.
Yep.
They were running around with them. Just like you said, get them up, get that weight back there.
All right, time now for Conrad's events calendar. We got some events coming up, and car season is getting in full swing again, I'm glad to say.
Well, and again, the big event is going to be Tailpipes and Tacos on April 15th at Lupi Tortillas off of Grand Parkway at Kingsland.
8 to 11.
8 to 11, and it is going to be a fundraiser for God's Garage. Tacos are free. And then just make a donation, and Lupi Tortillas will match that donation and give it to God's Garage.
Well, you give the donation, you get the free taco, and then they match that money. Yeah.
And I understand that there is maybe a car giveaway happening there.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see if that all comes to fruition or not. And then Rox's Bar on the 26th of March off of Louetta Road. They're going to be doing proceeds going to the Tomball Lodge Scholarship Fund for their Hot Rod Spring show and off show, and that's championshotroddcarclub.com. The Spindletop Car Show out there near Beaumont, well, it's Nederland. That's going to be March 26th. April 2nd is the Woodlands Coffee and Cars for a Cause off of Market Street, and that's always a big event. The Texas Pony Party 2023 is going to be at the Commemorative Air Force Wing.
That's part of the pity party, but in this case is going to be the pony party.
April 12th, and then April 14th is the Lone Star 40 Convention, and that's put on by the Central Texas Chevy Club, and that's going to be at the Embassy Suites.
Thank you, sir. Time now for this hour's car review. Mr. Mars has the Mazda CX-30.
Yes, I was rather taken by this car. It's a 2023 Mazda CX-30 Turbo, and we had it's actually available in several different trim packages. It's 6, and starting with a 2.5S, which they're actually going to drop this year, and it's because it's the base entry level, all the way up to the Premium Plus with all-wheel drive, which is where we were setting at. So this is it's a compact or an extra small type vehicle. They say it's set up for 5 passengers. I'm not so sure that you could put 5 people in there. 4, you could do 4. It's got a lot in common with a Mazda 3, and I think that's what really kind of tuned me into this vehicle, because they brought this out in 2020, but it's got a lot of the underpinnings with a Mazda 3 on it. It's going to have a lot of things like the auto headlights, the LED headlights up front, the tail lights, front and rear signature lighting for the Mazda. So it's got a lot of things that kind of bring it into what you would consider maybe a nicer luxury type vehicle, but it's not really luxury. Roof rails, power rear liftgate, 18-inch alloy wheels on it. It's a nice looking small SUV, CUV actually. When you got into the interior, it came with the leather trim seats, had the heated front seats, the 60/40 folding rear seat, had the 8.8-inch center stack. It's a smaller car, so some of these things are going to be smaller. That's where you're going to find your all your convenience controls, your rear view camera, the 360-degree camera that we had on this one. And I thought it was rather interesting. It took me a minute to kind of get used to it. It has traffic sign recognition. A little stop sign would come up, and I realized what it was doing because there was a stop sign there. And I thought that was a really cool feature. I'd never seen that.
Let's hope that you're watching the sign on the road as opposed to on the dashboard.
Instead of waiting for it to come up on the dashboard. This car also had paddle shifters. I didn't mess with the paddle shifters. It did not feel to me like it was a paddle shifter type car. That's where I was kind of torn between, is this kind of like a little hot rod or...
But you weren't confused.
So I used it plenty of times trying to figure it out. Came with a Bose premium audio system with 12 speakers in it. Up under the hood, it had a 2.5-liter turbo with 227 horsepower, 310. So it had plenty of juice up underneath it. And again, you want to maybe try and throw it into the curves a little bit, like a Mazda 3, baby, or is this more like a grocery getter? I was just kind of torn in how what I really thought about the car. EPA says you should be looking for 22 in the city, Highway 30 combined for 25. I actually got 24.9 miles across the 363.6 miles that I drove this vehicle. I thought it had a great power band. The controls were easy to get to. It does have a sport mode. Couldn't tell it changed it a whole lot, but it did make some changes, but it had a nice quiet cabin. I liked driving this car. I thought it had a very nice ride. It felt comfortable to be driving it. That's why I was kind of torn between, it wasn't really a hot rod, but I liked the car to drive it.
Get one for Becky?
Well, I would consider that. We've got too many grandkids right now for one that size. It would have to be a little bit bigger, but the base model price for this thing is, which is the 2.5S entry level, is $24,225. Now, the base trim price for the one that we had was $35,400.
Oh my God, a $10,000 bump.
It's got some serious stuff on it. Now, its price is tested was $36,810. Now, if you're looking for something to compare it to, you're going to down in this category. You're looking at the Subaru Crosstrek that starts at $24,870. The Hyundai Tucson at $26,245 starting, and even the Kia Seltos is down around $23,885 starting. So it's all in that price range with all the vehicles. But I just felt very comfortable in this car driving it.
$10,000 goose.
Well,
a $10,000 goose on a $20,000 car, $24,000 car.
I'd like to see what the base model really involved. I mean, we got the turbocharged engine and a lot of other things, but I'm like you. I'd like to see what that base was to really understand what we're stepping up to.
What was worth $10,000 on that price car?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I couldn't tell you.
You said it wouldn't.
I'm just telling you, I was very comfortable and I like driving this car.
You said it wouldn't work because you have too many grandkids. Let the grandkids get their own car.
Well, you have to talk to their parents. I'm not in that mode anymore. That's my review of the CX.
Oh, I was waiting for it to come to a conclusion here at some point.
Well, I was going to say something else to Jeff about the grandkids' cars, but I give up on that.
So back to you, Don.
Oh, back to me. All right.
Back to you, Don.
Back to me, Don. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. I did want to remind you that the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if you can stand it, through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com.
So you can see what we look like while we're.
Oh my God,
that's a frightening thing, isn't it? And 30-minute podcasts are at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets.
So you can listen to us driving down the road through your car,
or you can watch us driving down the road.
I don't know if you want to watch us driving.
The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break.
Tailpipes and Tacos, Houston's premier car cruise-in returns Saturday, April 15th to the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. Bring your Hot Rod, Classic, Restomod, or any other vehicle you'd like to show and compete for one of 3 highly coveted Chili Pepper trophies. This April 15th kickoff event is one you'll want to put on your calendar because 100% of the money you donate for the free tacos will be given to God's Garage. You heard right. Free tacos. Whatever you decide to give, all of it will be given to God's Garage and matched by Lupi Tortilla. God's Garage gifts vehicles to single mothers, widows, and wives of deployed military in the greater Houston area. In fact, the garage will gift a vehicle to a mom in need at this special event. Be sure to attend the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Saturday, April 15th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Free breakfast tacos for any donation to God's Garage. It'll make your heart and your belly feel good. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Real Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Real Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InRealTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Real Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.
Wow. Okay.
There you go.
Well, live from the best little whorehouse in Texas.
What?
It's the In Real Time Car Talk Show. Well, I just kind of made that up.
Yeah, I guess you do.
Coming up, remember the Myers-Manx? Well, if you're old as we are, you do. Guess what? It's back, and it's 2.0. Freeman Thomas, the CEO of the company, talks about a new version of it. Later, I'll look at the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zekin always. I'm Don Armstrong. So glad that you could make it with us on this Saturday. I've really been looking forward to this interview. And his name is Freeman Thomas. Freeman, good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you and see you just fine.
Dandy.
Where are you at this very moment in time?
I am right behind the Ford Design Studio in Irvine, California.
I kind of figured you're out there in California because it's 8:30 there. I'm sorry we had to get you out of bed, but we needed to talk to you about the Myers-Manx and a vehicle that dates back to the mid-'60s. 64, I think, was the first model of the Myers-Manx. And a guy by the name of Bruce Myers made this thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just going to ad-lib this off the top of my head. It was basically a Volkswagen Beetle that had been modified, the body of it taken off of it, and the floor pan and the engine and all of the underpinnings of it remained. It was shortened up a bit, I believe. And Bruce put this fiberglass, one-piece fiberglass body over the top of it, and it became a dune buggy from what we call it today. Mm-hmm. And it roamed the streets of California, and then it could just take it right off out to the beach and go up and down the dunes out there. Is that kind of like it in a nutshell?
Kind of in a nutshell. In the beginning, he actually didn't use the Volkswagen floor pan. He was inspired by it, but he made the whole body and chassis out of fiberglass, and it was a monocoque. So the first 12 cars are monocoques, and then right after that, then he used the shortened Volkswagen pan. Yeah, and that was the one that was the most popular and most reproduced of all, and that's what we all remember growing up, and we all aspired to. I'll never forget when that thing came out. I was in awe, wanted one so bad, and had no means to get one because I was too young at the time, but... and
I think in total they made about 6,000 of them, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, something like that. There's sketchy records in the beginning, but that's what the estimate is, and over 500,000 copies.
Yeah, and so let's talk about let's talk about that for just a second, because apparently everybody and his mother thought that they could build a Myers-Manx and made some changes to them. Some of them didn't even make a change to it, and they just copied the body. And there was a whole legal thing going on for many years. And I'm glad to say that you and your cohorts have actually breathed new life into the Myers-Manx name.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a passion. So a little bit about my background. I ran the advanced design studio for Volkswagen back in the 90s, and that's where I first met Bruce. And so Bruce and I became good friends. And so he was also one of my childhood heroes, growing up in Southern California. So lots on that.
Yeah. And so let's bring this up today. How did you get the name Myers-Manx? Because, I mean, that was Bruce's name, and he developed the car, the Manx. And I assume that there was some maneuvering going on in legal circles, and for you to grab the name and get it and actually start.
Well, so we actually got it directly from Bruce and his wife Winnie. So with my friendship with them, this started probably around 2018, 2019. I saw a Myers-Manx coming out of the Santa Monica Mountains, and I was with my family, and I was always so smitten by them. And so I called up my friend Philip Seraphim, who is actually the chairman now of Myers-Manx, and I told him about seeing the Manx, and he was really excited because he had a Myers-Manx. He was driving a Myers-Manx, and so he encouraged me to give them a call. And so I did, and they invited us down. They were down in Valley Center, down in San Diego County at that time, and moved from Newport Beach and all of that during the 60s, basically down to their property down there. And they had kind of revamped the brand in the late 90s into the 2000s, all the way up until the point we started talking to them. And Bruce basically looked at me and he said, he encouraged us to, acquire the brand, and he said, I only want to sell sell Myers-Manx to you, and that was because I think that we had, earned a friendship and a trust together, and it's more than just a name, it's a lifestyle, it's a movement, it's pop culture, it's Steve McQueen and the Thomas Crown Affair. It's Elvis Presley in Live a Little, Love a Little. It's the 60s. I mean, the Myers-Manx is everything that we loved about the 60s. And so we spent about 2 years, negotiating and talking and making sure everything was right. And then we did the acquisition. We did the acquisition in late 2021. And that's when Bruce was almost 95. So, and then he passed away in 2022, so early, or it could have been 2021. My mind is blurring ahead a little bit because you can imagine, since we acquired the brand, we haven't stopped. We put a team together, some of my best people that I've worked with in the industry. We've got a business team, we've got, operational team, we've got a design team, we're doing everything from the classic to the modern with Manx 2.0. So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. We're doing a lot of events. We just recently were in St. Moritz in Switzerland. We were last year during the Monterey events, presenting the Manx 2.0. We're all over the place.
Now, let's bring it up to date and talk about the 2.0. Is it still a kit car, or do you build them complete?
They're built complete, and there's so we're setting up a factory to build them. We're right in the prototype stage. We already showed the concept for the Manx 2.0 last year in July and August. And got amazing appeal. People just fell in love with it. We started offering, that you could put a deposit down. We've gotten over a couple thousand deposits, $500 deposits, refundable, of course. And but really the who's who and the passionate are really the ones that want this. And so we're in the prototype stage right now. We're driving, we're doing cold weather testing, we're doing handling tests, we're doing range testing. It's a serious machine.
Is it gasoline or is it electric?
It's all electric.
It's
so,
all okay.
and yeah, and it weighs, believe it or not, it weighs around 1,600 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty lightweight for an EV.
I was going to say, so how in the world are you able to get the, what has it got, about a 5-mile range on it or something?
No, quite the contrary. So, being in the auto industry and we started off by making the Manx 2.0 the exact size as the original. And if you were to put the two together, the original and the 2.0, you would say, okay, let's look at what the differences are. And of course, many of the differences are under the skin and in the back because the engine doesn't hang out in the back. The chassis is very much like a Lotus Elise, full monocoque aluminum chassis. It's got double A-arm suspension front and back, electric steering. The engine, it's a dual engine setup with that is software controlled with no gearbox. It just has a transaxle that comes out. The cooling system is internal. It's kind of like an automatic gearbox, the way that the cooling system works. So it's very simple. The battery packs are small and compact. The range that we're looking at and we're targeting is around 150 miles for the 20 kilowatt version. And we're going to have a 40 kilowatt option, which will give up almost 300 miles of range.
How sweet is that? I'm looking at it online right now, the Manx 2.0 EV. Do you offer a gasoline engine, or is it always going to be an electric?
Well, right now, the 2.0 is pure electric. We're going to, because we've got all of our team working on the productionization of the design. I do have some concepts working with a gasoline engine version of it, because I know that the appeal is there also. And we're going to be an and company and not an or company. Our company is really, Myers-Manx is about lifestyle, and it's about passion. And what made Myers-Manx popular in the beginning is that it allowed people to customize and make it their own. And so, and at the same time that we're doing Manx 2.0, which is modern, we're bringing back the original Manx as a remastered, easier to assemble. So that's fully a kit where Manx 2.0 will be all, turnkey, ready to go.
Wow. See, I don't get me wrong. I'm very impressed with the Manx 2.0 EV, but I have always wanted to build a kit car. There's something very appealing to that to me, and so you're working on a kit that will basically be a reboot, if you will, of the original Myers-Manx.
Yes, that's correct. So we're doing everything on that kit so that you have a lot of different choices. The body looks exactly the same as the original from the 60s, but everything is designed so it goes together much easier with less processes and more clever solutions on how things come together. It even has a lockable trunk underneath the rear cushion that's hidden. So you'll be able to put your stuff and lock it away and so forth when you park it. And the chassis will still fit on a shortened Volkswagen pan, but we're also coming out with our own manufactured pan so that for special construction, you don't have to do the fabrication. You don't have to do the welding, so that will make it easier in a complete bolt together process.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about some prices here. So let's talk about the 2.0. Have you announced pricing on it yet?
No, we haven't announced pricing yet, but we're going to make sure that we're going through what we call our bill of materials and our process and everything else. And we want to make sure that when we announce a price, that price will stick for quite a while. And as you know, we're in flux right now with the economy and with things that are going on. So we're going to go through our prototypes. We're going to start to share what's going on with the drivability and the range and how these things are going to be made. And you know, as the customers come along and they get interested, and our website is going to be going up with the configurator and things like that. And at the right time, we'll be announcing the pricing.
Oh my gosh!
The pricing, we believe that a Myers-Manx has to give value. So you know, as the saying goes, you know, the value will stay long after you forget the price, and the price will have value inside of it. So we're going to make sure that it's obviously it's going to be profitable for us, but at the same time, it's going to give great value to the customer.
So exciting.
Looks awesome.
I'm telling you.
I know. It's so exciting. You got to be beside yourself. I mean, do you sleep at night?
Hardly. I mean, this in my career, it's probably the most exciting project, working with Philip Seraphim and the team, and really kind of being able to have the resources now to take Myers-Manx and take it to where it should be going. We're always going to be playing in the niches. We're going to be playing and supporting the enthusiasts, because that's who we are. We're car enthusiasts. We're enthusiasts, like you were saying, in building a kit. Also, that's what I love to do. I want to make sure that every single part of that kit is like a beautiful, simple, piece of jewelry that you put together, and the tools and everything else. You know, I don't like things that aren't thought out. I love when things come to you in a very thoughtful way, and your expectations are exceeded when you receive it.
I want to have a 3-ring binder that's filled with about 1,000 pages of how to put this car together. And I want to go from page 1 to page the end, and be able at the very end of going through all these pages and doing all this work to say, and there it is, and I did it.
I want to see the parts tree that you clip the parts off of.
Yeah, the parts tree.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really a bonding experience. You know, you go back to the 1960s, and it was a family thing, not only building a Manx, but then because you could street register it, and then, you know, here in California, when you have a street registered off-road vehicle, you can drive on all the forest roads. So we go to events like we have the Manx Club, which has over 6,000 members, and they go to places like Mammoth and Big Bear. And what they do is they bring their families up there, and they go on these trails that are incredible. We go down to Mexico. We do the Baja, 1000. We participated last year in it, and we're going to participate again this year in it. Myers-Manx is the first vehicle ever to win the Baja Mexican 1000 in 1967. First vehicle, two-wheeled or four-wheeled, ever to win it outright. So Myers-Manx is on the map for off-road. It's part of what created off-road and the movement. And so we know that we have a lot of enthusiasts that love these, not just going to the beach or getting coffee, but they're really capable, and they're also friendly and approachable, and they're not aggressive.
Okay, so I'm going to be your agent, and I'm going to put together a group, and we'll all be friends, and we're going to have to rent several 65-passenger buses to come out there and have the Freeman Thomas experience. It'll be FTE, and we come out there and we stay with you, we live with you, we be you for at least a week. A round-trip ticket, I don't know, several $1,000s, and you'll have a little piece of the pie. But we just want to hang with you for a few weeks.
And you give away a Manx.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have you. We'd have to love you, because I tell you, once, it's a gateway drug. Once you get in there, you won't have enough of it. And you'll see, Manx owners don't just have one. And we're developing new concepts and that have the Manx DNA in it. So from the original 1960s time machine to the 2.0, which is basically taking all the greatest hits and making it so that it works within today's environment of electrification and clean environment, and making it easy to use. And then we go to other types of off-road vehicles that become, if you want to go down to Baja and buy something out of the box, ready for Baja, or go off-road, go to Mojave or any Glamis or anything like that.
So the 2.0 is coming. Is the remastered original available now? I mean, could we literally?
Yes. So if you go on our website right now, and you'll see that there's a on our contents, you can see remastered. You click that on, you can see what the remastered body looks like. And then you can go to our parts page and you can start to see what parts we're offering. We have a lot more parts than we're showing on the website already. So what I would say, and we're in the beginning of this thing, we're in the beginning of getting the configurator up and running so that you can get your colors. We have all the Metal Flake colors, 50 Metal Flake colors,
Wow.
like in the 60s.
Wow.
You know, and we've got solid colors that we're special mixing. It's all about customization.
You said it, with the EV being all electric, are you building or developing your own charger for this unit?
We're working with a partner so it has a fast charge or a slow charge, so you can option it with a fast charge. But when you have 150 miles of range, when we go out, let's say we go up to Big Bear, and we drive all day, we go on these trails, we may at the most drive 90 miles. And in a Manx, because it's open, you're exposed. And by the way, the Manx 2.0, we're going to have it with air conditioning and heating. It's a very compact electric and heating system. It's lightweight, and we're going to eventually we're going to offer a door system and a rack system for it, so that you'll be able to drive it year round.
So are you going to have some artificial gas fumes or something that you can pump in there that kind of make you think about the original? Or you?
Yeah, well, you know, I just came back from Germany, and I was in the Porsche Museum, and there was a simulator that, you know, on a stand, and they had different engine sounds. One was a 935, one was early 911, one was GT3 RS, and you just hit it with the gas pedal. It was wonderful. You know, I mean, it really made you feel like, wow, this thing. So electric's going to bring a lot of new things that is different. The acceleration on this thing, right now, we're software tuning it, but it is capable of doing 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds.
Wow.
Wow. Well, I'm just absolutely blown away. I absolutely love it. 50% deposit today gets your build started as early as possible, and that's on the remastered kit. So it's Myers, MeyersManx.com, MEYERSMANX.com, and you can find out all about it. We're waiting for the pricing, but I want to get mine going today. Well, do you have a specific engine that you recommend for the remastered gasoline version?
Yeah, we have a brand new Volkswagen engines built with brand new blocks, and our build is that we do a 1900cc twin Weber. It's low compression. That's the key to it. It's high torque. It puts out probably about 90 horsepower, and a remastered original Manx is about 1,300 pounds. So you've got a very lightweight vehicle with about 90 horsepower. It's very docile. You can putt around town. It'll go up any hill. It's got power. You'll put a smile on your face. And then we have a special gearbox where we rebuild the original Volkswagen gearbox with special gears and special internals. And we have a wide 5 disc braking system. So it allows us to put on the original smoothie, Volkswagen rims. So we have remanufactured now with DOT in different widths. We can go from 6 inches wide on the front to 12 inches wide on the back with off-road or road tires. We have special seats. We are offering basically everything soup to nuts that you can build a complete Manx. We're coming out with our own wiring loom, and everything's going to be, like you were saying, the instructions and everything will be really easy to follow, down to the hardware where you bolt it down to the body. Beautiful hardware, high quality. We don't believe in doing anything in low quality. All of our bumpers and bars and everything are available in stainless, polished stainless. So it's a vehicle that you buy and you hand down to your children.
See, it's that's your kit car right there.
There it is. Freeman, it is truly an honor and a thrill to talk to you and get all the latest on the Myers-Manx against MyersManx.com. Hey, best of luck to you. Let's stay in touch and hope to get an update from you as soon as the EV's ready to go.
Great. Well, it's a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right. We appreciate that. Yeah. I'm in.
I'm telling you.
I'm all in and all ears. Okay. A couple of stories I wanted to bring your way before we close out today's show. We talked about that. 43-year-old woman arrested Thursday for allegedly embezzling more than $200,000 from a Stellantis dealership in Dundee, Michigan, according to a Dundee Police Department Facebook post. Dundee is about 50 miles southwest of Detroit, near the Ohio border.
She done did it.
She done did it. Allison Stewart of Manchester, Michigan, was arraigned on one charge of embezzlement over $100,000, a felony, according to Monroe County Chief Prosecutor Michael Rohrig.
She going to go to work for CarMax?
If convicted, Stewart
Carvana
faces up to 20 years in prison, plus fines. Stewart allegedly stole the money from Williams Brothers Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in 2019 while she was an employee. Way to go. I don't want to do that one. Don't care about that. Nation's top auto safety regulator opened an investigation this month into more than 120,000 Tesla Model Y crossovers from the 2023 model year after reports of steering wheels detaching while driving.
Oops.
In a document made public Wednesday, NHTSA's Office of Defects said it was aware of 2 reports of complete detachment of the steering wheel from the steering column while driving.
Quick, put it back on.
Hurry. Yeah, can I get the brake? Can I get it braked over to the side of the road?
Turn here.
No, you ain't turning nowhere.
Well, that's when you turn on the auto drive.
Yeah. So at any rate, we've got that. I'm trying to go through these as quickly. Ram this month will show dealers a model of a potential midsize pickup that they can touch, according to Mike Koval, the CEO of the brand. Physical property, not just a sketch or rendering. You can't think of a better incubator, a collection of 5,000 dealers, his closest friends, he calls them, to tell him if he's right on the path or not. If he gets the thumbs up, he says, I'm doing the right thing. If not, I'll understand that too. That's a good mindset. Mm-hmm. All right. That's it for this hour. We're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to wrap up today's show after these brief messages. We invite you to stay with us. Well,
Tailpipes and Tacos, Houston's premier car cruise-in returns Saturday, April 15th to the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. Bring your Hot Rod, Classic, Resto-Mod, or any other vehicle you'd like to show and compete for one of 3 highly coveted Chili Pepper trophies. This April 15th kickoff event is one you'll want to put on your calendar because 100% of the money you donate for the free tacos will be given to God's Garage. You heard right. Free tacos. Whatever you decide to give, all of it will be given to God's Garage and matched by Lupi Tortilla. God's Garage gifts vehicles to single mothers, widows, and wives of deployed military in the greater Houston area. In fact, the Garage will gift a vehicle to a mom in need at this special event. Be sure to attend the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Saturday, April 15th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Free breakfast tacos for any donation to God's Garage. It'll make your heart and your belly feel good. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.
Well, that's a wrap for this week's In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Hey, when you're online, check out our Facebook page. If you would, give us a like, tell your friends about us, and share our junk if you would, please. You'll get Conrad's Unicorn Hunting features, along with all things automotive all week long, including new car reviews, upcoming events, cruise-ins, racing events, and other informative and entertaining car and truck goodies. You can find the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app. Be sure to catch In Wheel Time Car Talk on our live video stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central Time. Daily 30-minute podcasts are available from over a dozen of the most popular podcast providers. The In Wheel Time Chief Engineer is David Ainsley. Our Marketing Advertising Manager and Video Technical Director is We Need More, Jeff Zekin. For Booking Agent and Podcast Goddess, Mike Mars, along with Mr. Know-It-All, his royalty, King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong. Be sure and join us again for the next live 3-hour In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, Saturday, March 18th, 2023, 8 to 11 a.m. Central Daylight Time on all of our In Wheel Time Car Talk outlets. Have a great weekend. Don't forget, Spring Forward tonight at 2 o'clock. Hey, have a great weekend. Stay safe, and let's visit again next week. So long for now.